juice. Hold on, you're next.
And we're gonna smoke people like barbecue.
Like barbecue. Okay.
My dad left 4 years ago and never came back. Actually, that is true.
Wait, I'm sorry.
No, I get to see him though, so it's fine.
Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple
Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
My dad left 4 years ago and never came back.
Wait, I'm sorry.
No, I get to see him though. My dad left 4 years ago and never came back. Actually, that is true.
Wait, I'm sorry.
No, I get to see him though, so it's fine.
Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple
Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice. Apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Sipping on apple juice.
Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice. Sipping on apple juice. Because I'm sipping on apple juice.
Hey, peace. You know what I mean?
Noise.
It was fucking hot.
I'm not coked, I don't do coke. I drink coke, I like coke, I don't do coke. Give me that fucking coke. Sorry guys, my coke just got here. This shit's a lifesaver. Wow. You leave the house to get coke? No, my coke dealer comes to me.
It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay.
That's true, that's pretty true.
Yeah, asshole. Okay. It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay.
Yes. I agree, but you have to understand, just because I have a dream of being pounded in the ass doesn't make me gay. Yeah, that's pretty true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Stop. Just stop. That's true.
It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay.
That's true. That's pretty true.
Yeah, asshole. Okay. It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay. Okay, dude. Okay. Yeah, asshole. Okay. Okay, dude. Okay. Yeah, asshole.
You've shown me so much support. You've been so strong, and it's actually unreal. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate it.
It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay.
That's true. That's pretty true.
Yeah, asshole. Okay. It was fucking hot. Okay, dude. Okay.
That's true. That's pretty true.
Yeah, asshole.
Yo! Check it out. We gotta do the second transmitter because it's all charged. Streamers live! Streamers live! I'm live. Alright, let's see what we got here. Plugged in. Batteries. Battery. Alright, I got a question for you guys. Turns out I need a piece to attach the tail transmitter. My sponsor has an extra one. I just spent $100 though, and apparently it was for no reason, because let me read you this conversation and tell me what you think it sounds like. I'm so annoyed. He said, I have the pliers. So you need pliers and you need a little piece to to attach the transmitter on. And so he said, I have the pliers, just order 5. So I sent a picture of the product and I said, order 5 micro medium tail feather pieces like this. And he said, yes, 5 micro mediums. Doesn't it sound to you like I should order 5 micro mediums? So then I said, okay, I ordered. And he put a bunch of crying, laughing faces. And he said, not 5. I ordered 5 and you can buy one from me. Like, I don't know. So I'm just going to have a bunch of extra, which is like not a big deal. But whatever. I need a piece. Oh, other cool news. Not really news. But this little piece that comes off of this transmitter, right? This where you put the battery on. You can order a special one of these that says Lost Bird with your phone number on it. Isn't that sick? So instead of me getting a little dog tag and putting additional stuff on his legs, cancel the order. I've gotten really unlucky with Marshall because last time last time I ordered and did double shipping, you have to call to order, and they were out of the office for Christmas. And this time, I have to call to cancel, and they're out of the office for New Year's. But it's fine because I'll just have extra. It's not that much money. It's not that big of a deal. Plus, tail transmitters fall off sometimes, so worst case, I just have more. But anyway, I'm really excited to set this up. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to talk to Devin. He messaged me on Discord, so we should be good to go. Oh. I didn't know it was going to do it right off the bat. Damn. Fernie, thank you. All right, it really put me right where I'm at. That's great. That's great. Okay, please connect to a pocket link. Leak, do you live in the US? You don't really have to worry about leaking this address, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Connect to a pocket link. How? How to connect. Oh my god. Did you see that? What the fuck? Wait, but I don't know how to connect. Oh, maybe I need my transmitter plugged in, maybe. Oh, it's beeping. Has Ori been flying with a backpack this whole time? Yeah, it's like super not invasive. You don't even know that it's there. The dogs aren't destroying something. They're rolling around on the carpet. Oh my god. I don't know how to connect to this. Play all day? I play every day. Okay, dude. Okay, I need instruction. Tutorial videos. Show walkthrough. Map source. Save flight below 5 miles an hour. Show walkthrough. This guide will walk you through the necessary set. Oh, let's go. Enable location services. Power up the transmitter. Yes. But why is it beeping? I think I just turned it off. Play all day. I play every day. Have no regrets. I love this game. People New Year! Happy New Year's Eve. Okay, put this on the top. Screw this in. That. Yeah, I'm going to S-Fans tonight with everybody. Wow. Okay. That's not beeping any. Well. Now it's beeping again. That didn't help me at all. What's up, Finn? My Bluetooth? My Bluetooth is on. Bluetooth. Connect to...
Thank you so much.
Boom, 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 boom.
Thank you for the $10. Okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm just gonna ask my sponsor to help me. It's not telling me in the app.
Wow.
Oh, allow. Always allow. Wait. I'm 0 feet away from this transmitter. Yeah. I'm so confused. All right. Okay. We will sort this out with my sponsor, who knows what the fuck he's doing, because I do not know what I'm doing. Great. Great. Turn off. Deet, 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 deet. Are you Maya Porch? People are really into calling me Bella Porch lately. I don't really understand it. You don't look like her at all? Yeah, I don't get it. It's just cause, I think it's cause she has like larger eyes than the average person. And now my hair is black. So.
People pop. Wow.
Peepo happy.
Wujito! Thank you for the year! Finn, what's good? Yeah, tonight, I mean, it's no different than all the other events that we've done. We got kind of a bubble going on here in Texas. Okay. Yeah. Trust me when I say that I am thinking about that as well. Okay, so let's everybody just relax so I don't stress out more about it. Thank you very much. Jenny bought Jello shots. I don't like Jello shots. I think they're kind of like an inefficient way to consume alcohol, and I don't like eating them either. I'd rather just take a shot, you know? But it's fun, I guess. What do you think about today's Nick stream? Yeah, I watched Nick and Milena this morning. It was actually a really fun stream. Milena's brother is fucking hilarious, and he took the camera and he was just so excited. He was having a great time.
Wow.
Cut it, thank
Hello,
you.
smile.
Skull. Yeah. And he was just like farming the fuck out of chat. It was so funny. He was just like, what did he say that made me actually laugh out loud? Milena said some shit about chat, and then he was like, no. One in chat if the chat's always right. 2 in the chat if the customer's always right. And Nick was like, you're not selling anything. It was funny. I liked it. It was a really good stream. I miss drunk Milena, and Nick got really drunk too. Okay, so the plan for today is we're working on my business plan with Devin. I think, is he live yet? Let's find out. Devin Nash. Yes, he is.
Today we're helping Maya build a business.
That's what I said.
The research team cracked out and went super ham on trying to provide her some good value.
Connor, what's up? I gotta talk to you about this soon.
Vaping Avenger, really?
Devin's an astronaut.
Every time.
You know what's interesting about Devin? 1, he's an astronaut. 2, I don't actually know what he does. I don't actually know what his title is. I just know people call him CEO Andy, and I'm excited to talk to him because I think he'll have good insight. But when I was talking to my parents yesterday, I was like, I have a call tomorrow morning to talk to a guy who does stuff like this, and my mom was like, well, what's his title? What does he do? And I was like, I actually don't know. He started an esports org, but he doesn't still work for that esports org, right? Didn't he sell it or something? And then he has like a couple on his socials. I looked him up. His socials, he's got a different title in like each bio. So he's like a CMO and a CEO of like 3 different companies that I saw. So I don't really know what he does. It's a talent agency. I'll ask him. But should be good. I have made a few updates to the plan. I don't really... You know who I talked to? You know who I talked to about stats? Guess. Tough guess, considering we talked about it yesterday. But I actually got help this morning from Riz. He actually helped me. Isn't that crazy? And then you know what he said? After I helped him? Or after he helped me? He said this. Anyway. Okay, so my dad has also been in this doc, so if you see comments, it's my dad. Big, thank you for the 2 months. A couple things that I've added. Let's see. I filled in the rest of this chart last night just because I thought it would be productive. I added some pictures, so I also, to the table of contents, I think I'm going to do another, like one of these, and then I'm going to do a proof of concept with collaborations, and I'm going to talk about what success I've already had collaborating with other creators. That's why I included these pictures. So I have the one with Pokey, the one with OTK, As and Rich, and then Schlatt's video. Not technically a collaboration, because, I mean, it is, it's my bird, but it wasn't like, hey, let's get together and make a YouTube video. Schlatt was just like, yo, can I film your bird? And I was like, sure. But I can use the numbers nonetheless. So yeah, I added these. And then I added some, my dad added a comment. We need to discuss how the facility will be started. Raw land, buy an old ranch. Raw land is cheaper, but zoning and permits might be an issue. I also need to bring water, electricity, sewer. You can't get a mortgage on raw land. Typically, it's a short-term loan. You can build a house, at which point you can convert to a mortgage. Broadband could be a challenge, too, if remote. We need to discuss income and how the organization will sustain operations. Operating budget, including staff, get financials. Everybody thinks it's weird that I like I really do talk to my dad like this. Wow. I communicate with my dad and via comments on Google Docs. Like I don't call him to talk about this because it's awkward to call him. I just call my mom and I talk to him if he's there and she puts me on speaker. Why am I getting pinged? I don't know. Cringe Lord. Ambassador animal. An animal whose role includes handling and or training by staff or volunteers for interaction with the public and in support of institutional education and conservation goals. This is AZA. The AZA's definition. All animals at blank names facility will be considered non-releasable due to permanent injury or handicap or confiscation from the illegal pet trade. These animals would be provided permanent sanctuary at blank. Multiple sources the animals will come from. Leaking DMs, but no VIP. That's crazy. I leaked 2 messages. Don't worry. No, I'm not giving you VIP. Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, zoos, overcapacity, illegal pet confiscations via Texas Parks and Wildlife, and exotic animal ambassador programs nationwide. 3 pillars of responsibility and caring for these ambassadors. And I need to go back through these because this is just what I came up with, like off the top of my head last night. Thank you. Is general husbandry, enrichment, and training, which most of you already know what these mean. Or maybe not most of you. General husbandry is just taking care of the animals. So nutrition, clean, sanitized enclosures, adequate living space, vet care. Enrichment, so doing research on an animal's behavioral biology and natural history to give them opportunities to engage their natural instincts. Puzzle feeders, scavenging feeders, dig boxes, toys, whatever that animal finds enriching and stimulating in captivity. Enclosures based on the species biology and natural history, so they're happy where they're living. And then training, so individualized training programs establishing target behaviors and goals for each ambassador, routine training sessions, thorough record keeping, and regular socialization. Happy New Year's. I don't know what you guys are laughing about, but I guess somebody said something. Ready anytime. Let's check out Devin's stream, shall we? Devin Nash. Do. Thanks, Kalon. He's doing a food review.
I started this, and at first I was like weak as fuck. I'm like super fat nerd. Still am, kind of. But like getting better. And I have like so I couldn't do very much. Like sometimes I was doing like 200 calorie workouts and stuff, but I kept like innovating, kept trying. We're 2 months in now. This looks good. Or maybe a little bit more. And it's like to say that I've like done a complete transformation and that like anyone can do this, right? It's like an understatement. It's really, really, really crazy. So I've been
Yay, healthy living. Is that pulled pork? I can't really tell. But it kind of looks briskety to me. Not brisket, but looks more like beef to me. It's a roast. Yeah, I don't really know my meat cuts. Chuck roast. Yes, Quack, you will. Did you watch Lover Host? No. I clicked into parts of it, and then Botez was at the house last night, so I cannot lose these. Botez was at the house last night, so we, So we talked to her about it, Chance, I did see the clip on LSF. Chance seemed super excited about the choice. Dude, every time I clicked in, I was like, damn, Chance just does not want to be there. I know he doesn't want to be there. Like, he must have been miserable. But, hey.
People pug, wow.
Thank you for the tier 1. Alright, I'm gonna call Devin. Will his mom pick based on political standing? So, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Hey.
Hey!
Hey.
Hey. Night,
Hey.
I don't know what that is. What's up?
It's for horses.
What?
Hey, it's for
Oh,
horses. That's
thank
what it's
you.
for. That's what it is. You're welcome.
Good
You
start.
you should know that if you're gonna build a conservation, that's where we should start.
I should know that if I have a horse.
That's all. Yeah, you actually do have a horse, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they really eat hay, or is that like one of those? You know, like on the internet, it's like everything's not true.
They really do eat hay.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. I actually know that. I used to spend a lot of time with horses.
I feel like we've talked about this before.
Okay.
Or like
You wanna
on
talk about it again?
Yeah, I feel like we talked about it on Train's podcast or something, and I was surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah. My mother really loves horses, and she spent tons of times on ranches, tons of times. So I like grew up riding horses like most of my life, and it was cool. They're real smart.
I love horses. Ow.
That was the closest I've ever come to dying.
Oh yeah?
I did not tell you that, I'm sure. Yeah, one got stung by a bee or a hornet or something. And you know how the horses do that thing? They're really smart. They you put the saddle on them, and then they suck in
bloat.
their stomach.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so then what happens is the saddle becomes loose. So that happened, like while we were putting the saddle on, didn't know it. And while I was riding, horse got stung by a bee, and the horse started galloping, and I like slid in the saddle and held onto the horn on like the side.
Dude.
And somehow I held on. I
That's
don't know.
sketchy as hell.
It was fucked, and like the wranglers stopped it eventually. But I was like, if I had fallen off that thing, I would have been donezo.
Chat, what he's talking about is horses that don't like having a tight girth on their stomach. They bloat when you saddle them up, so you think it's tight, and then once you start riding, they relax their stomach so it's loose, and then you get fucked because you got a loose saddle. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, because if you slide off.
Yeah, I clicked into your stream and I heard your research team did some research.
What? Nonsense. Yeah, we did a lot of work.
Okay.
I feel very confident in this talk.
Okay. You didn't have very much time. I appreciate it.
That's true. Also, yeah, you'll hopefully it provides a lot of value.
Okay.
Do you want to do cameras and stuff? Or no?
I have your stream open.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we
We're
can do
gonna that
a
way.
Discord call if you want. Well, no, I only got 2 monitors.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We'll do it the way we're doing it.
All right.
Okay. I will pull up. Is your business plan public? The one you sent me.
I mean, I've showed it on stream. Yeah.
Okay. I guess the better question is, do you want to show it today?
Sure.
Cool.
I
Alright,
also-
cool.
I think, did I add more after I sent you the last one that I added more to?
Sent me number 2,
Yeah.
and that's the one I went off of.
Okay, that's enough. That's good.
Okay.
I'll just use
So, I think to start. Also, I'm getting a little bit of echo. I don't know why.
it. No, it's my fault.
Rip.
Go-
Good ownership, Maya.
Yeah. My
That's
production
the
is
first part
garbage.
of starting a business. Extreme ownership.
Appreciate it. Because she puts her ear in the mic. I'm sorry, alright? My mic, Chad, look at my mic. Look at how it's sitting. I'm using a chair as my mic stand. Can you see it? There.
We'll go look.
So, let me be. Okay. Don't look at my
it's-
production.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's so bad. This is not my room. This is E-Rob's old room. This is temporary.
You're at the, where do you, like, live?
I'm at the, you want my address?
Yes, please. Send
I'm
it.
at-
And your social security.
I'm at
I need
the
that
old
Ms.
house.
Kip money. Wait, what? Oh, there is an old house?
Yeah, because Matt bought a new house. So I'm at the
Yeah.
old house right now because I'm with here. My dogs are here because they're not set up at the new house. So my setup is here.
Okay. And so you live in Austin full time?
Yes.
Cool. That seems like a very good place to create content. There's
Oh, it's
just so many streamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's like so many opportunities for collab and everything.
True.
Like, it's crazy. So, and I think that's a part of what we're talking about today, right?
Yes. That's a big part of my idea.
But we're gonna start more simple. Let me pull up some stuff. The infamous notepad. Yeah, when you messaged me about this, I got very excited. I think this is like a really cool goal. So as far as we can tell, it hasn't been done exactly before. There's
Right.
some corollaries as to how. So the first thing we did was we looked at, okay, who's done this right? Because based on that, can we find somebody that we could use as an example? And then based on that, could we learn anything? So when we did that, we found a couple people. There's a channel on YouTube called Brave Wilderness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then there is a couple other channels, interestingly enough, on TikTok.
He's talking Coyote Peterson, guys.
Coyote Peterson, yeah.
On TikTok, huh?
Yeah, so some of the guys, they found out that it turns out that like the animal stuff seems to do very, very, very well on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then that also has the added benefit of appealing to younger audiences. So we're going to get more granular, but just like to start the conversation, it's interesting to think about where this lives.
Mhm.
Because I think that your initial vision of it might be that it lives on Twitch. But I think as we sort of expand out like how this business actually works, I think that it could live at several different places and have a lot of success there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, Twitch and YouTube for sure. I already have both those platforms written in somewhere in what I sent you. But TikTok, I think those are the only two platforms I have.
TikTok is a super interesting vertical. This one that I have on here is like, is this the fucking one? Did you send me the right one?
It's Will Smith.
See. I think he sent me the wrong one. I was like, yeah.
That one was
see.
sick though. Will
Yeah,
Smith
it was
makes good
pretty legit.
TikToks.
Fucking, let me see what happened here. It might have got deleted. Or I'm on the wrong link. Let's see.
Do you still have
Yeah,
an
it
echo
did.
or no?
No echo at all.
Okay, beautiful.
He'll find it for me in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like a random Will Smith video because I think what happened was it went back to they're no longer letting you view shares without logging in.
Mhm.
Really? Oh, okay.
Wait, really?
I guess. Oh, that sucks because I think I deleted my TikTok because I don't want China stealing my information or whatever. Like, yeah, fuck that.
My take on TikTok. Okay, so I've made one TikTok in my life, and
What was it?
It was just a bird.
I knew it was a
but
bird.
okay, good guess. But I haven't wanted to spend my time on TikTok because, and tell me what you think about this, I just haven't seen it translate anywhere. American Eagle Foundation does a really good job with their TikTok. They're on Twitch as well, and they've had several videos go viral. But my focus is growing my Twitch channel, just because I think the potential and the money is there, and I don't even know how you make money on TikTok besides being live and getting donations. I guess for this, it would make sense to use TikTok because the whole goal is spreading a conservation message, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't translate. But I've seen creators on Twitch that get like 14 million views or something on TikTok and nothing happens.
That's super perceptive. You like, okay, so we ran a test through the community. We did like a big contest and gave $500 to anybody that was going to build the biggest TikTok, basically.
Okay.
Over a month. So we ran this like contest and a bunch of people did it. And what we found was the exact same thing, was that they built these enormous followings on TikTok, often very quickly. And so sometimes you'll hear someone say something like, okay, I've got like 300,000 followers on TikTok. I'm kind of a big deal. And then you try to get them to translate that across any other audience. They go, hey guys, like come over here and do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do it.
Right.
And the question is why? And it's like, well, you're literally farming an audience of 12-year-olds with 6-second impressions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't build a brand image that way. But what you can do is you can send a message. And for that reason, I think, I think, like, let's say that you get, like, the thing is, like, a 2 to 5% conversion on, like, 1 million people is, like, better than, like, a 10 or 20% conversion on, like, a smaller number of people, right?
Mhm.
So, like, you might be able to convert up from there particular into younger audiences. I'm just saying it's an interesting, like, again, like, we're just kind of, like, painting out the really big verticals before we get into, like, the meat of it. Where I think that, like, those are probably the 2 or 3 places that you focus is, like, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. I think you actually have, like, a presence there.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Okay. There's a couple of things that we need to shake out, like, I think immediately.
Okay.
The first thing is, are we profit or non-profit?
In my head, I would like it to be a non-profit, but I don't know enough about the
Let's
two.
start there.
Okay.
Okay, so a non-profit is a 501c3.
Yes.
Yeah, and a profit would, like, a for-profit business would either be an LLC or an S corp, probably an LLC. And the meaningful differences are that I think when it really comes down to it, the meaningful differences are taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, like, the idea is that you're going to operate under a tax umbrella with a 501c3 because you're going to be able to save almost everything on taxes.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll need to be able to prove that you're not generating a profit for a business.
Okay, so that's one of the things I was
Mhm.
struggling with when I was deciding if I wanted it to be 501c3, because I'm doing it on my Twitch channel, right? Which means, like,
Yeah.
I can link a PayPal that's for the organization when I'm doing content at the facility, but I still get subs and bits, right? But isn't it possible to write an agreement between the nonprofit and myself that just, like, specifies, like, say that, like, if I benefit from getting subs or bits while using their assets, that I can just donate, like, $2,000 or however much a month back to the nonprofit? Do you get what I'm saying?
I do. It's just complicated because you're sort of using the same vehicle as a for-profit and non-for-profit, right? Like, sometimes you'd be streaming where the money wouldn't go that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And technically, the definition of a 501, the way that the IRS classifies a 501c3 is it has to be, I think, either religious, scientific in some kind, or educational.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, there's some things like public safety or things like that. And that the way that the IRS usually classifies that is like that. Ooh, sorry, this is gonna get a little bit like weird, but a business isn't like a real thing, right? A business isn't like a person somewhere; it's a concept.
Mm-hmm.
So the IRS needs some kind of, like, little box to put the business in. Like, what are you? And a Twitch stream is such a box, but it would be really weird to separate. So, like, if I had like the company that I run, Novo, which is the agency, and, like, half of the office was a 501c3 and half of the office was like a for-profit agency, it would be really, really hard to shake out. It could get done with a good CPA, but you would need to, like, prove out and, like, hold receipts of, like, every single individual transaction.
Right.
Yeah. So another way to do this would be to separate the brands. That's the really easy one, but the problem with that is, number one, I think you don't want to do that because you're really attached to this idea personally,
Mm-hmm.
and that's your kind of future, right?
Well,
Is that a
even,
question was
I
gonna ask?
mean, by separating brands, do you mean, like, create new channels and have it, like, separate from my channel?
Twitch.tv/
Yeah.
Maya Sanctuary.
No
Yeah.
way.
Mhm.
No, I
Okay.
gotta start off the base that I already have.
Then my second question is, would you be willing to yeah, so the organization must not be linked or operated for the benefit of private interest. No part of a Section 501c3 organization's net earnings may go to the benefit of a private shareholder or individual. Right. Okay. So you could have the 501c3 hire Maya as an employee. That's true. And then yeah, that's true actually. And then she could do the Twitch stream separately because that's her own thing. And then she works at the sanctuary. And then the entity itself, like who holds on to the equity. It gets weird. You need a really good CPA.
I have to be able to write an agreement where I just say that I'm allowed to use the assets of that if I like donate back. Or if I contribute back. Like what I said earlier, if I make an agreement with the nonprofit and myself that I can use the assets at the nonprofit for my stream, but then part of the agreement is I like donate back to the center or to the facility.
Yeah, what I'm saying is like your classification, you may need to become like an independent director. You may not be able to own the actual sanctuary, like if you're gonna do it this way, because it basically if it can be construed that you're making a profit off of it, like, and this could be really easy to do, right? You could say, well, because you're growing your Twitch channel in such a way that like this is growing your Twitch channel or this or whatever, it's also contributing to your like privatized income from like when you're not doing this, and because of that, yeah. So this gets into like a really complicated tax territory, to which you need to talk to a CPA. But I think like to start, you'd let's take a step forward, and then maybe through that we can answer this question.
Okay.
How does this business make money? And like let's start there, or rather, sorry, I'm gonna go 2 steps back. We'll go there, but I'm gonna write that down. And I have some ideas. I'm just like looking at your stuff too. But like, first of all, what is the goal? What do you want to accomplish?
I mean, if you want to scroll down to like my vision and mission statement, I
read them.
Yeah, I want to reach as many people as possible from as many different online communities as possible that wouldn't already be looking for information on conservation, and I want to provide sanctuary to non-releasable animal ambassadors while doing so. So I want to have animal ambassadors to do education programs and collab with other creators so I reach more people to teach them about conservation.
Okay, can I also ask you what is the goal of this business plan?
Well, to get it all down on paper so that I have a better idea of where I need to start, and also because eventually I assumed that I wanted to file for 501c3 status.
Okay, so this is the infrastructure of an actual 501c3 following, potentially. Because that's meaningfully different from like an investor.
Right.
Yeah, and like so, this is the skeleton of a 501c. It's like C3 or something. I don't know how they run it. Because what one of the other things we're gonna do is we're gonna build like a list of resources, and I think that to appeal to investors, we're gonna need like a deck as well. And I had some really interesting ideas around how a sanctuary like this gets sponsored in this context. And actually, like, I think that it's actually a super solvable problem. Like, depending on your burn rate, you can actually activate endemic sponsors to the space to do this, which is really cool, right? Like your Corsairs of the world, your Sennheisers, those people.
Right.
Yeah, so I think there's like a really, really cool vertical there we could talk about.
Connor also said, so this American Eagle Foundation said animal permitting is easier for a nonprofit too. That's like a whole nother thing that I have to think about is like permits and zoning and whatever, but that's a later conversation.
Yeah, we have to stay pretty high level so far.
Yeah. But I also think that there's more potential for getting like sponsors and whatever, because it's a good look if it's a nonprofit. You know, I feel like people would be more willing to support a nonprofit than they would a for-profit organization.
I think that's right. And I think that it's like Twitch streaming is already really weird. For example, the whole thing around tips versus donations, right? That like donations are a word that you use. This could actually be to your benefit, come to think of it. So a lot of Twitch streamers have this problem. Donations are a word that we all use for like when people give us money. But a donation, as far as the IRS is concerned, the word donation is a very specific term, right? It means you're donating to a 501c3, and that's a potential for a tax write-off. And that person receiving that donation, that's why if if somebody charges you back and they prove that you think it was a donation, PayPal actually favors the client because the person that donated, because they say, oh, this was actually a donation. If it's a tip, that actually means that if you get charged back, PayPal will favor you. Because the tip means I'm just giving a for-profit business a tip on top of it for their services, which is what we technically do, right? So if someone wants to give us money for us streaming, we're providing a service that's entertainment, and that they're tipping us for that service, $10, whatever. And so that tip, if they then charge it back, we go, no, they tipped us that as part of the business. If it's a donation, PayPal and Twitch and Visa or whoever else is handling it, the bank, will say, wait, you're not a 501c3, you're out, right? So you may be able to structure 2 totally separate donation buttons and 2 totally separate like means of payment, so that I think the place where this gets kind of weird is subs. That's where it has a hard time, and I think we just need like a super powered CPA, and I have some ideas.
Okay.
For who might know. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this is like Sith level fucking tax shit. Like it's like
Right.
well beyond my capability.
The
Yeah.
other thing, and it's more of a personal thing of why I lean towards nonprofit, is I like constantly preach a message of these exotic animals are not pets. And when I was talking to my parents about whether or not I wanted it to be like a private zoo or like private facility, it just doesn't feel as good to me, because that makes it seem like they're mine, you know, and that makes them feel more like pets to me, and I would just rather them belong to an organization that's, you know, do you know what I mean? Maybe that
you got the Tiger King thing going on. Like
exactly.
Yeah, like this is Maya's pets. Yeah,
Right.
and you want to spread more of a message of conservation, and I assume that you want. So can we get an idea of like I think this would be productive, like when you talk about building a sanctuary, let's look at the very basic, just bare bones, this thing is running. Okay, so you had mentioned previously that you might want eventually up to 6 enclosures, but what does day one look like? How many employees does it take? Like, can we go over those basics?
Well, I mean, it depends on how many animals I have.
Well,
right?
that's what I'm saying, is like I need that perspective first to be able to like, if that makes sense. Like, like I need to get an idea of the scale of this operation so that I can.
I think at the beginning, I think 10 to 15 animals is a good place to start and sit at for a while, and then end game, like max out at like 50 animals.
How many employees working does it take to maintain 10 to 15 animals?
I would. Not including myself, I would want probably 2 or 3 full-time, because for all the animals they would have like primary handlers, trainers, so I'd want full-time employees that can do like consistent work with them.
Okay, how well paid are those employees typically?
I don't know the answer to that.
All right, we gotta figure that out. What are the operational costs? We're gonna come up with a concept called the burn rate, and that's basically you said you need probably about $500,000. I'm guessing that was like a really literally
a guess.
Big guess. Yeah, like totally, yeah. So I tell you what. I have a bit of a surprise for you.
Okay.
Okay.
It's a bad one, isn't it?
What is that? What's a bad surprise? How could I surprise you in a bad way?
You're gonna tell me I need 2 mil or something to get it running?
Oh, no. I have a totally different. I have a real surprise for you.
Okay.
I have a friend, a very good friend, on the board of Washington Land and Animal Conservation.
Oh, that's
he also
random but sick.
Is the vice president. He just retired from Amazon. Is the vice president of Twitch Prime. Created everything, Twitch Prime. One of the highest level people at Amazon, and basically my best friend. And he would like to come on to talk to you. Is that cool?
Oh my god, yeah, that's sick. What the hell?
Let's do it. I'll go get him.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think he can provide a. I
Just
immediately thought of
create a
him
new channel and
because
host
he
the
has
new
done
channel.
an enormous
The org
amount of
gets
work
the
in conservation in Washington. He does trails, he does like land conservation, deals with animals a lot. So he will come on in just a second here.
All right, that's
And
sick.
I think he can provide some really, really good like actual experience and context to start structuring this.
I'm sorry for skipping that dono. Said just create a new channel and host it. The org gets exposure and you keep the separation for tax purposes. I really don't think it's a good idea for me to try to build from the ground up.
He's in Hawaii
Oh,
right now,
sick.
so he's joining us from the beach. Ethan,
My chat is all fucked.
I am indeed in Hawaii.
my man, how are you?
Hello.
Ethan, this
I gotta
is
kill the feedback. 1 second.
okay. He's literally just like on a beach.
I am. It's true.
Oh my god.
my
He actually is.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
so
this
funny.
is
Wait.
that's executive life, man. Yeah, this is like.
Hey, that's retired executive life. Come on.
Yeah.
And it's my anniversary tomorrow anyway, so I'm supposed to celebrate.
Aw,
All right.
congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. I sent my wife to the spa, so you have my time while she's there.
Ethan,
Planning ahead.
this is Maya. I told you
Hey,
a little
Maya.
bit about her
Hi.
before, and Maya, this is Ethan. Ethan is one of my best friends in the whole world, and just like an absolutely amazing person. I hope he can help a lot with this.
Aw.
He can do his own introduction if he wants, because he's like the amount of badass shit this guy does is like very hard
Wow.
to quantify. Yeah.
It's hard to one up like the amount of badass shit you do.
Yeah.
But I did have a 25-year career, 12 years in startups, another 15 or so at Amazon. The last several working at Twitch, and so I know Twitch pretty well from a platform capability side. And then my personal passion is conservation. I come at it more from the land conservation side, simply because animals need land in order to live. So I spent the last 5 years on the board of the Washington Trails Association, which is the largest hiker, state-level hiker charity in the United States. About 50 full-time employees and about 1,000 volunteers. So when Devin reached out, I thought maybe I could help out. And I've had a chance to read your business plan as it stood when Devin sent it to me an hour or so ago.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. And I also stream on Twitch as Ethan Evans.
Wow. This is, I literally can't, I can't picture a more perfect connection than this. This is so random.
Let's go. Let's go.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It's good
Take
fun.
shit seriously, man. I'm glad you reached out.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so essentially, I've come up with this idea because I started streaming about 2 years ago. I've worked at a few zoos, and I'm a falconer, so I do mostly birds of prey. But I started a conservation podcast on Twitch, and I talk to a conservationist or a biologist or an ecologist weekly about, it's usually species specific, and we raise money for an organization of that guest's choosing. I think we're at like, how many episodes are we at, chat? Let's find out. 53 episodes, and we've raised just over 60K. We do about 1 to 3K a week per episode. So I found that there's...
That's really great.
Yeah, it's super fun, and I found that there's like huge potential for talking about conservation on Twitch because, I mean, obviously, you know, it's traditionally a gaming platform. So to tap into younger people that aren't already looking for conservation messages has been really, really cool to me. And I've been able to give biologists and conservationists a platform to be able to talk to these people that they wouldn't normally be able to reach. So I would really, really love to start a facility. The other thing that I love doing is working with animal ambassadors, so non-releasable animal ambassadors. So I'm a director at a wildlife rehab center, and we have 13 non-releasable ambassadors that we use for educational outreach. And I love doing that. And I did that on a stream, on Asmongold's stream, and we hit like 90K, and I brought a squirrel and a skunk and an owl, and it was great. So I think that there's a ton of potential for me to have a facility with ambassadors and for me to have a studio where creators can come and and do programs and make videos and stuff with me, and that's my idea.
Yeah, well, I guess what strikes me immediately is it's a modernization of Steve Irwin, right? He made animals approachable.
Big shoes to fill, but yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, but why not? Why not at least have a North Star view of what you could do? And he did a great job making exotic animals approachable, talking about conservation, and coming into people's living rooms, households, phones, whatever. And I think I've seen a little of your work, and I think you could do the same thing potentially. Of course, the point here today is to discuss what a good plan to do that would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, you don't have to. It would be a bad idea to immediately benchmark yourself, like, oh, I'm not as famous as Steve Irwin yet.
Right.
I must be failing.
Yeah.
That isn't the idea.
Right.
Cool. Well, I'm joining Devin already in progress. I was watching his notes where he was talking about, how many employees and the pay and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just join. I'll comment as we go. I don't just want to like randomly throw in thoughts I had on the walk back up the beach.
Okay.
I think our challenge right now that we've run into already is I think Maya heavily prefers this to be a 501c3. I'm not educated enough to be aware of the tax implications of if that's possible, because she wants to incorporate that into her Twitch stream, and I think that's complicated. And so I moved on from that because I think I have a CPA in my community that I might be able to link her up with. That I might have that. You might have more insight into that as well. So I was kind of waiting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I assumed it would be a 501(c)(3), which I assume you may have explained that term, but it's the law or regulation that governs in the United States charitable activities, so-called nonprofits.
Yeah.
And what it allows that's important is it would allow donor support to be tax deductible. So it's all about tax treatment. There's a number of other things. Yeah.
If she's doing that in conjunction with her Twitch stream, right? If she's running a Twitch stream and like, I don't know, 30 or 40% of it is like conservation efforts, and then like 50% of it is like, I don't know, opening Pokemon boxes, whatever you kids do. Like how does that shake out? How do we differentiate that on one platform, right? Like,
yeah, you would have to have the stream. It's a good question. Like you can't have a stream where part of the money is probably going to Maya personally for her support, life, whatever, and part of it is going
that was my concern,
to the 501. Now, there is probably a way around that, which is she would logically be, given what she's doing, she would be the executive director of the 501. And so as long as you fully disclose everything, a different way to do it is she can pay her life. All the money can go to the 501(c), and then she's paid as the executive director, nothing from the stream. That's another way. I mean, again, I'm not, your CPA is better for this, but that is one way to accomplish it. There will be limits though on what she can pay herself. So if the stream is turning over in some magical future world $5 million, she can't pay herself $4.9 million as executive director.
Makes sense. Does that make sense to you, Maya?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So Ethan, I was getting I was just trying to build an idea of where, kind of like the scale of this. Do you think we can just continue on those lines?
Of course. You drive.
Okay.
I'll follow.
It says the dude with the palm trees in the background, man. Like, you're so chill right now. He's usually way more like just came off the beach to. I love it, dude.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're relaxing.
I woke up this morning in Hawaii and I had a text from Devin that said, "Hey, can you jump on a stream?" So, of course.
Yeah. It's funny because the context I always see Ethan and Maya is like, this is like super hardcore, like dude, like works harder than almost anyone I know, like at Amazon, right? And like he just very recently, like after what, 15 years? You're just
15
like,
years, yeah.
Yeah. So this is a very new way to see him, and it's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm gonna stream myself later today with the discussion my problem's learning to relax, roughly. Like my
Yeah,
New Year's
it's-
resolution is going to be stop being an executive, and so far I'm not succeeding.
It's hard. It's really hard. Like when I sold CLG, I had like 8 months where I was just like trying to do nothing, and it was like you just think about the next thing like instantaneously, and you need that time to like sort of recuperate, but you don't. Sorry, Maya, we're just.
No, that's fine.
Well,
I can't relate to
yeah.
the executive thing, but I
Yeah,
also have a hard time relaxing.
When you're a
Well, you're gonna have to though.
Right,
You're gonna,
right.
You're gonna,
you have to. Mm-hmm.
So this will be your chance to learn
Mhm.
about it.
So the progress we made was we are thinking a launch of. So I think a good place to start is we have no idea what this costs. Maya, I think just because like she understands the scale and that can help us a lot, but I just don't understand the structure of the business yet. So we've come up with initially 10 to 15 animals, and you said 2 to 3 full-time employees.
I think, yeah.
Okay. And how many, like in terms of square footage or how many enclosures do you need to maintain those kind of animals?
Again, depends on the animals. Depends if they're living together. I mean, it's two. Connor said 2 employees is a good start. With 10 animals, I would expect at least 6 or 7 enclosures.
Okay, man, and this is launch. Okay.
I mean, I don't
And-
have a problem. I can also start smaller. I could start with 5 and have 4 enclosures, and then build up from there.
I mean, classic advice is how can you test what you're doing small with the ability to scale it up?
Right. So I have
yeah.
kind of a test. It's not really a test because it's not an organization. It's just content on my stream. But I'm a wildlife rehabilitator primarily, and I'm building out a rehab room in the new house. It's just a 14 by 14, but I have 4 bird of prey enclosures in there and 1 big acrylic enclosure for mammals and reptiles and whatever we get in. I have a team that's gonna create a website for that, so we're gonna do merch off of that store, an Amazon wish list, data that they can access that shows like the weights and the intakes and the releases and all that. So I figured that could be a little bit of a test run, minus all the complicated stuff, and it's all in one room.
That's a great test. Like that's exactly how I would want to test it, because it's reversible.
Right.
If something went badly wrong, you could place those animals if you had to, or maintain them personally. And if something goes right, then you have a proof of concept for future donor support, regulatory issues, because I'm sure part of what you're doing has legal regulatory requirements of proper care.
Right.
And so that's a great test bed. That's exactly right.
Okay. Sweet.
Okay, so that's and that's in a room in the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also what he said about reversible is cool too. I'm sub permitted under the rehab center that I work for, so they're not even under my permit. I bring them home from the center. So again, if anything went wrong, they would just go back to the center or go to other independent rehabbers in our network.
Yeah, that's so fantastic, because right now you're at a learning stage. You're at a learning stage of, you have this dream of running a facility, but it might turn out that the day-to-day of running a facility and having employees and stuff is not your cup of tea, and you're better as purely an ambassador. It might also turn out that that's fantastic. And so the ability to test that is definitely great.
Right.
It also gives you more time and proof of concept if we are going to so like one of my visions of today is that we're going to build a timeline, and I think that part of that timeline is like how to get investment capital. Ethan probably does have some insight into how to actually raise money for efforts like this.
Okay.
And I think so, like by the end of this, I know Ethan's time is not unlimited, so like we might do that after, but like I want to have a timeline. So I think that doing a test run we can put at the beginning because what it does is provide proof of concept for investment capital. And so if you can already say, look, I'm already doing this. I've got 3 to 4 animals. We're taking care of them now. This is the exposure that it gets. This is the kind of impact it's making. It's a way easier sell than like, hey, this is an idea in my head.
Right. I have stats and data from my podcast as well. It's a little bit of a different concept because it's not working with ambassadors, but talking about conservation on stream and doing collaborations with people that aren't streamers, but people that do research. We have a lot of data on the success of the podcast as well.
Okay, that's really good. I think that I think that when you're appealing to investors, you're trying to convince them that this is like stuff like, okay, so like if we're gonna do like a traditional business, like we're gonna like try to raise money for like a Series A, or we're gonna try to like do a seed round or something, stuff like that matters a lot, like podcast analytics and things like that. For investors in 501c3s, we have to tell them why it matters, right? Ethan, what's your experience with like raising money with like 501c3s and like efforts like this? Like,
well,
conservation, how do you do it?
Yeah, there's 2 ways. There's like regular donors which send you a one-time check, and that's really people who want to support the mission. So in that sense, it's like Sierra Club. It's like, for that matter, the American Red Cross, right? People send in $25 to be a member or whatever. Or if you look at a zoo, zoos are very good at letting people sponsor an animal, which would make a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
And it turns out, by the way, that zoos are not shy to let 100 people sponsor the same polar bear.
Right.
So that would probably be the logical model here because people are familiar with it. The other thing is more the endowment level. So where a philanthropist who really believes in the mission and sees value in it and has a lot of money wants to give an endowment to the organization. And that's where you get into the gifts of 100,000 to, sort of unlimited beyond that, the big donors. And they usually are tying what they're doing to some sort of mission parameter. So they're saying, well, this money isn't meant to all be spent at once. It's meant to be invested and to support an animal or a facility in perpetuity, like in long term.
Right.
And those are different types of sales. One is engaging people who want to feel good about they've done something for the environment, for endangered animals. And the other is kind of a large dollar philanthropist that wants to make a long-term mark as opposed to an immediate sort of I did something today. So those are kind of the 2 classes. And then there's lots of variations. For example, parts of the Washington Trails Association funding comes from people naming it in their estate when they die. So as a charity becomes established, they'll raise money in a number of ways, and so-called legacy giving. Legacy is a code word for you're dead, but what you wanted to see happen lives on.
Right.
And so these sort of tiers could kind of be structured on a platform like GoFundMe or Patreon, which we were talking about yesterday, right? Like, so my question is like, okay, how do we make it relatively easy for some, because we're in a situation that you get a lot of exposure and you need a funnel. So you need to get those people to a place where they can support. First of all, I'm going to write a couple of things down because this is marketing. This is like my arena, right? We have a bunch of people who are going to hear about conservation, right? So where do we put them basically? Like, what's the funnel? These are just really high level things we're just still thinking about, like, before we start like structuring all this. But like, my thinking is like, okay, like a person watches the stream, and wants to support. Like, what's the next step there? Like, where do they go?
Right.
And then how easy is it for them to support? And what you need to do is like, you need to make it pretty seamless to make a donation or support. Do you ever watch AGDQ?
No.
Awesome Games Done Quick?
Mm-mm.
Awesome Games Done Quick every year is a. You should write this down, or I'll write it down in my notes. I'm missing all this to you. But I'm gonna describe ADDQ real quick because I think it's productive. Like ADDQ is a not-for-profit, bi-yearly, runs twice a year. Bi-yearly is I always screw that up. Twice a year. It runs twice a year.
Mhm.
And what it is it's a they'll either benefit Doctors Without Borders, or they'll benefit Prevent Cancer Foundation, or sometimes St. Jude's. And what they do is it's a speedrunning community that basically just
Oh.
does a huge charity event for Twitch for a whole week.
Yes.
And the stream is on 24/7. Okay. And the key thing to learn from that, and I really think you should check this out and like go watch a VOD and just kind of see like how they operate, is that they make it very seamless to be able to support at different tiers. So if you are going to watch an Ocarina of Time run, right? If you donate $20, you get a shirt. If you donate $50, you get a chance at a shirt. Like if you donate $50, there's your title up. You can help name the person, right? Like like you can name Link.
Sure.
So there's all these like different activations and incentives, and seeing how they build their platform and how they structure it is important, because we want to build a very similar system, if that makes sense. Like we're gonna want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Are those
No,
donations
please,
done
yeah.
through Twitch?
Those donations are done through a third-party website.
What
I
is
believe.
it? Tiltify or something?
God,
else?
I don't know. Does anyone know? That's a really good question. How do they support their? What's the system they use for it? Chat. Because that's really important.
My chat doesn't know. I don't think.
Someone knows.
Yeah.
What's the system that Awesome Games Done Quick uses for? Like, what's the back end? Does anyone know? I can figure it out if.
Yeah, Simply might know.
But this also seems like something they just discussed with Twitch partnerships, right? How to run. I mean, there's other people doing what amounts to nonprofit work on Twitch, and Twitch actually has at least one person who's fully dedicated to charitable activities. I don't recall who it is anymore, but there's at least one partnerships person who's 100% dedicated to charity, to running charity streams, and to Twitch's support of that. So there's got to be a way with this vision to integrate Twitch pretty closely.
Okay. Yeah, my agent knows her apparently, but I don't know who she is. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Twitch loves stuff like this because A, it broadens the platform, and B, it dilutes the image, the negative image of gaming only and gamer content, right? So, it's one of the people at Twitch really believe in it, and they also get a business benefit. So both of those things is why there's at least one staff position to support activities like this.
Right. Okay. So a couple of the ideas that I had for fundraising, for a capital fund anyway, is a GoFundMe. Originally, I was thinking I would just make a separate PayPal account and then have all my donations just go into that account, and that's like part of my fundraising. Matt, or Mizkif, my boyfriend, said that having a GoFundMe would be more effective because it has a goal, that people can see, and I can put not milestones, but like I talked to you, Devin, the other day about like a brick program, or like naming an enclosure or sponsoring an animal, that kind of thing. So like $500 and you get a brick with your name on it at the facility type thing, but not necessarily with a brick. So that's part of it. I was gonna, I told you all of this yesterday, Devin, so sorry.
No, please, yeah, it's okay, because I might learn something I didn't.
Okay, and then I was gonna do one podcast, so swap out one of my normal conservation podcasts a month to dedicate to fundraising for this, and to talk about it, and to talk about where the plan's at, and progress and whatnot. So we'll probably raise at least $1,000 a month through that podcast, and then I'll also be donating or setting aside a few thousand a month to donate as well.
Okay, did you get all that, Ethan?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. So, like, in terms of raising, what are your thoughts on that in terms of raising money?
Well,
yeah.
I think GoFundMe for a capital campaign is a good idea because you can name a goal like build a facility, and then you can have stretch goals, as Maya mentioned, of a facility for 10 animals, a facility for 15, you know, blah, blah, blah. And you can go back to that well multiple times, and you can tie Twitch over to it anyway, because your asset here is your Twitch, is your social media audience, Twitch and elsewhere. And I think GoFundMe is a perfectly fine way to give a goal. So I tend to agree with what Matt told you.
Okay. So then to plug the GoFundMe, I mean, I would verbally talk about it on stream a lot. I would have a panel as well, and then just to pin it on my Twitter, and then I don't know, otherwise charity streams and just directing as much as I can of my audience to that fund.
I think content collaborations, which you've already figured out by like bringing Asmongold like a giant snake and shit like that, is like super good for that.
Yeah.
Particularly, I would think more in terms of events. Like, so, and this is sort of a broader conversation we can have, but like the short of it is the way that Twitch is evolving, and OTK is like the leaders of this actually. So you're so well positioned because like a huge amount of viewership comes. It's almost like Twitter in the way that it's shared. Like people hear that something is going on, and then all of a sudden, like an enormous amount of viewers are there. So if you have some kind of like, what I'm saying is like plan fundraise, like do the calls to action, do it on your own stream. But I think the most productive thing you can do to get people to support this is plan events, and like Mizkif and all, like they'll all want to do it because they're desperate for content. and it's interesting. It's good content. It really is. Like I saw this clip of I don't know if this was you, but it was like Asmongold was like looking at a turtle.
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, it had to have been you. Yeah, and it's like he's just like eye level with this turtle, and he's so fucking happy. It's like I've never seen Asmongold that happy. Like I've seen Asmongold get like the rarest mount, and wow, he wasn't that happy. Like he's just like he's like, I love this thing, right? Like
cool.
It was really neat to see that. So I think that kind of event, that kind of collaboration is going to be really effective. And it sounds like a super like forehead thing, like just do events. But what I'm saying is like what I mean by that is like you meaningfully set aside a stream that is scheduled, that you're going to do something, and you know what you're doing before you go into it, and the goal is to to show an animal in this context, spread this message, and get influencers involved. So it's really important.
The only thing I struggle with that is when I did the program with Asmon and with OTK, I didn't plug my channel or my podcast or anything at all because they're not my ambassadors. So I also don't say the name of the rehab center I work at just because it's Twitch and, you know.
Okay.
But I guess maybe I just have to get permission to use our ambassadors to raise money for my project.
I think straight up that's imperative.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just think those collaborations are so powerful, and there's so many reasons too. There's a spiritual reason also, right? It's just like when people see one of their favorite influencers get connected to an animal in that way, I think that there's a really powerful message in that as well.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I only have a bird right now, personally. The rest are ambassadors that belong to the rehab center.
I strongly agree that you want to do everything in the open with permission, because one of the drawbacks of using Twitch is anything that's perceived as hypocritical or underhanded will be sought out, called out, and turned into drama that it doesn't need to be.
Right.
And at the same time, you know, assuming you have the right relationship with the place you work, there ought to be a way to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're trying to do something good to increase the capacity of that center and other centers to support their work and to help the animals. So there's nothing wrong going on. It's just the minute Twitch smells, not Twitch the company, but Twitch the community smells something that they can criticize.
Yeah.
There's that 1% that will be all over it.
Right.
I think in this context, man, like I worry about that with like everything. Maya's like one of the most like authentic and like I feel like it's really hard to hate you. So and especially like if you, I know, well there'll be some percentage of people, but it's like, there's monsters and then there's monsters. Like I think that like what I'm saying is we can err on the side of like we need to teach people why they should care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even being a little bit shameless about that is okay.
Right.
Yeah, just because like the messaging is good and you can always this is kind of like a lot of people tell me I should sell a course, right, on how to become a better broadcaster or like a better YouTuber, okay? And the reason I don't do it is because I always can hide behind the fact that I don't have anything to sell people. So someone comes in and is like, fuck you, I don't like your building a business shit. And I'm like, yeah, well, go fuck yourself. I literally don't do this for money, right? I do this because I'm here for value. And when you stand behind that, there's like a certain amount of like, I think, protection you get in the same way that like, you can just step back and be like, look, like I'm saving animals. Like, what do you want? Like,
right.
what do you wipe the Cheeto dust off your fucking like pants and like just like come help me, like, right? Like, it's like that kind of call, and I think that that's really powerful.
Okay,
which
makes sense.
Yeah, which I think is another kind of like reason why we want to focus on a 501c3.
That is a good reason, by the way, not to draw any money through the 501c3, right? You don't want to be like, if you're getting paid by it, then it dirties that. Whereas if you have your own income from some other source, whether it's your job through somewhere else or what you raise on stream when you do other things, it protects you somewhat. These are second order problems though. The first thing is get a business that works.
Right. Let's build a business. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. That's the executive.
And that is important, by the way. Charities are businesses. Like they are still charities, but you know, the charity where I'm on the board has a chief financial officer, a finance department, a fundraising department.
Right.
Yes, they do entirely good work. They're out maintaining trails and advocating for land preservation and blah, 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 all things you'd associate with a charity, but they run internally like a business and have a CEO.
They have to. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, well, that's sometimes people misunderstand that like, oh, charity is just a bunch of do-gooders banded together that like kind of get together and hug trees and then go their separate ways.
So Ethan, so along those lines, what other first order problems do you think that we should be considering? We've talked about marketing. We've talked about raising money a little bit. What are the other like really, especially like from a conservation standpoint, what are the other things that really jump out to you? Like, man, we should really think about these things.
Well, the hard part is as soon as you have staff, you have everything that comes with staff. You have benefits, diversity, HR, you know, the animal ambassadors here are not, that have been named, are not super dangerous, but you have essentially liability, right? So, you know, you're a falconer. I'm sure you're aware that if something goes wrong, a falcon is capable of injuring a guest or someone you're with,
right,
or a handler under the wrong term. So it's all of that sort of downside. And we have the same problem. We send people out on trail and, you know, bug bites, snake bites, trip and fall, you know, put a shovel through their own toes, whatever it is.
Geez.
Well,
yes, I know.
Accidents happen.
Right.
And you know, I think a lot of running a business that we haven't talked about, of running even well, particularly in animal care, is all around health and welfare of both the animals and the handlers. If we named Steve Irwin as like a role model of maybe how to do it, then you have Tiger King as like the role model of how not to do it.
Right.
And you obviously want to avoid any allegations that the animals are being exploited or
right.
mistreated or overexposed. And as I'm sure you know, whether through old age, accident, disease, bad luck, particularly since you work with non-releasable ambassadors, and zoos have this problem too. One day, one of your animals will die.
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of thinking through, it doesn't exactly go in your business plan, but behind the scenes on your business plan is, you know, what is your animal welfare approach? And then what do you do when, unfortunately, an animal is sick, injured, or dies?
Right.
And just being aware of that is part of sustainability, and is also part of it's part of the mission you care about. It's reality.
Right.
So that's I think the biggest thing I haven't heard mentioned is having employees, and then when things go wrong, and with employees, particularly when you only have 2 or 3, you have this huge challenge when one is sick or somebody quits. Suddenly your staff is cut by 50%, and do you have the ability to care for the animals properly, and like what's your emergency plan?
Mm-hmm.
And so in a way it's easier to run an organization with 10 people than with 2, because with 10, if somebody's out sick or on vacation or whatever, you're down 10%, not half.
Right.
So those are just a couple of the things I haven't heard mentioned, Devin.
Yeah, I got it. Anything else on your mind? Like in terms of first order problems? Or just considerations?
First order problem, you know, I said about reversibility.
Mm-hmm.
What's the survivability? In other words, at this instant in her life, Maya envisions that she loves to do this and wants to do it a long time. But like, if she burns out or wants to move on or hand it off or do something else,
Exit plan.
yeah, you know, what's the either the wind down or the succession? How does the organization, ideally a charitable organization, is sustainable based on its mission and not on an individual personality?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with starting it that way. There's nothing wrong with that being your life for as long as you're interested in it. But you wouldn't want to design to where without you it all collapses. If you can avoid it, that's sort of Tiger King again.
Right. Oh, that makes sense. I don't have an exit plan right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
of course.
So that's something we should think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it may feel like my God, I want to do this for the rest of my life. But you're also what, like 20? What?
22.
Holy shit! Oh my God.
How old did you think I was?
Like 28?
What?
Too
No.
smart.
You thought I was
Yeah.
28?
You're too smart.
I just graduated, Devin.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh
Read
my
the
God.
PR, Devin. I would have guessed 21. So
All right.
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. I mean, okay. That's. Yeah. Holy shit.
because you went to
You're
Cal
like,
Poly, right?
I did, yeah, San Luis Obispo.
Yeah. So yeah. Come on, Devin. I did my research between now and
Nice.
9 a.m.
dude, you're like you're higher level, okay? Like it's like the guy in the MMO. And it's like, why can't you beat this monster? And like you're like 40 levels higher, and it's like, dude, I'm trying here, okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
good. I know it's early for you.
It is. Yeah, that's the excuse. Yeah. Like, okay, like that's actually insane. But that's a really good point. Is like, I think you're up the next like 9 years of your life. Like, you might be a completely different person.
Oh, for
by the
sure.
time
And and the platform
Mhm.
maybe as well. So that's
Well,
another
that's
thing to
very
think
true.
about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's,
So we'll talk.
And with that in mind, I think being multi-platform right? I mean, obviously, Devin and I are huge Twitch advocates, and I'll never advocate for anything but Twitch. However, diversifying and being on multiple platforms, not just streaming platforms, but with podcasts, with GoFundMe, because you never know what will change in the audience over time.
Yeah.
I think it will grow in a way that's more favorable for what you're doing, but you want to be, broader than that.
Yeah. I think that I'll say something that maybe Ethan won't say. I mean, just in terms of longevity of a sanctuary or an initiative that has some kind of physical presence in the real world, YouTube seems like a much more viable place to live. Whereas like Twitch is like a better vehicle. Twitch feels like a better vehicle because of your association with it. If that matter, if that means. If that makes.
Well,
Yeah.
my community's on Twitch. Yeah, I understand
That's
that.
right.
The user
Yeah,
base on YouTube is quite a bit larger, isn't it?
It is. So there's 200 for every one on Twitch. But the other way to think about that is like if you look at like a channel like the one we just pulled up was Cody Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean 18 million subs.
Right.
Like you can fund an entire sanctuary off like the amount of money that's making. Like you can fund an entire sanctuary off of that effort alone. Whereas, like, I think on Twitch that's a little bit more challenging. The thing that I've always been challenged. This is something that Ethan and I know a lot about. Okay, is like, man, this is all we think about. Is like, Ethan who does career and educational counseling and education and business on Twitch, and me who does like business news, industry, what's happening in like gaming industry and memes. We constantly struggle with how do we convert this fucking audience like to care about shit that isn't like a streamer farting into a microphone screaming and shooting somebody in Rust.
Sure.
And like it's like a constant effort to do that. And I think one of our, at least I guess like and we have long conversations about this, but like I think that is yet another compelling reason to start utilizing and diversifying across multiple platforms, because you bring an audience that does care and then can experience it in the context of a live event, if that makes sense. But having a place where, and that's why I said the very first thing I said when we got on this call was, where does this live? Let's think about that, because that matters a lot. And I think the answer where it appears is very different from where it lives. It can live on YouTube, it can live on GoFundMe, but like I don't think it lives on Twitch. I don't. Right? Especially like if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I'm a little bit lost there. What do you mean it can live on GoFundMe?
I'm meaning to say that you've got a physical room or a place that you've rented at some point where these animals exist. Okay? The lights shut off, and like the show is over on Twitch, and then the animals are still there, the operating costs are still there, everything's still happening until the next show.
Right.
So, is Twitch the best platform to showcase this, raise money for it, get people interested, etc.? And what I'm saying is, I think you should be considerate to like platforms like YouTube, platforms like where you can create. This is a really weird concept. Okay, so like, let me try to draw an analogy. So I do business stuff on Twitch, right? Like the thing I do on Twitch is I talk about what's going on in the industry, gaming industry, business, and that context. Okay, so when my stream is live, 5 days a week, you can come check it out for 3 or 4 hours.
Right.
And you might be able to see it, might not. But on YouTube, right, you can go see all of the stuff that I'm doing that is the most important stuff that's being covered, right? So you can learn about like my interviews, you can learn about like stuff on DMCA, whatever you want to do. And this is where I actually live.
Right.
Right, because somebody can come see me here 24/7. In the same way, I think you need to structure the sanctuary so that it has a place where people can come see it 24/7.
I mean, it will also
be
on YouTube. I mean,
Perfect.
I'll be streaming from. I mean, my plan is that I would like to stream from the facility, so there will be plenty of videos that are put on YouTube because my editor makes videos out of my streams.
And the other reason I bring that up is that there's some creative way to do this where, like, you might even be able to, like, Big Brother it and just have, like, a camera for for the enclosure that is another Twitch stream that just runs 24/7.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
sure.
don't know if you saw did you see the bird feeder? It was it a like duck feeder?
Oh yeah, where you donate bits. There are plenty of those.
You donate bits and then the thing, and then like
that's doable.
yeah. So I think that's a potential. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to set one of those up for
toy control. Any
Yeah.
of those things would be a great bits driven, like let people pan and zoom and whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say
exactly.
I wanted to set one up for the rehab room that I'm doing, but the nature of animal rehab is they're not always healthy and they don't always make it, so I just didn't want to have a live cam on on the animals that I have at that center. But it would be different at this facility.
I remember that there was this clip. It's one of my favorite clips. I think it was you that did this, right? Like, you found that stream. There was a stream where you could donate bits to feed, Ethan. I don't know if you know about this. There's a stream where you could donate bits to feed ducks. Basically, someone had written this script that, like, every time bits got donated. So these idiots came in and started spamming donating bits, and the fucking thing just went ham, and it just started spitting out duck, and like all the ducks like flew in, and this clip got like 100,000 views. As like it was just an automated system that somebody had set up, and they never expected to get like 1,000 viewers in there, right? So like people just like all of a sudden these ducks just start going crazy.
Yeah, that was
hilarious.
Which is a good business question to think about. It's worth thinking about. It's the fun part of this. You know, I gave you some of the risks and negatives with like injuries and animal death and whatever. You can think about what if it's wildly successful. Like, what would your next step be if by having the content and having the ability, money comes in faster or viewers come in faster. These are good problems to have, but planning your upside and your success, because you don't want to scale past your ability to run it well, but you do want to, and these are not hard problems to solve. You know, you could always say excess proceeds until we expand will be donated to this other worthy group and your problem is solved. But thinking about like what if you have that duck feeding experience, so to speak.
Oh, I see. Okay, that is another thing to think about.
It's just fun to think about success.
Yeah, I guess so. I have not thought about that with all the thinking that I've done about this. Yeah.
It's free candy. That's the best part. Is like dreaming big for a minute is when you become Maya Irwin.
Oh, jeez.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, well, you can at least stream. It's fun because it gives you a vision of what you'd like to see happen, and can also be inspiring as long as you don't get. I have a new title, by the way, Devin. I apparently have been promoted to be the guy at the bottom left.
Wait, do I still have? Oh, I need to like update your chat command because I still have you as the.
It's all good.
The 800 person team at Twitch Prime, which isn't even Twitch Prime anymore. Now
which isn't even Twitch Prime. Yeah.
It's Prime Gaming. Rip, yeah.
I just need this sign behind me though. That's like bottom left guy.
Yeah, because Maya I think has my stream up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maya, do you have Ethan? How are you on time?
I'm fine. If you have more questions, you know, I'm happy. I can easily go 20, 30 minutes.
Okay. I also, so more good news, Maya. After this, I think I have a CPA that we can bring on.
Nice.
That can do the 501c3 stuff. So like, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Do you have any like high level questions for Ethan? Conservation type stuff for Ethan? Anything you're personally wondering along these lines? While I look through the business plan and kind of try to like find out where we're going next.
Jeez.
Have you thought about if you're going to have a charity, you need a board?
Right.
Boards have like a small legal definition, meaning they don't have to be huge. The board of a large charity is usually a lot of people. But what you theoretically, I mean, the actual duties of a board are quite small, and so you can either have a board that's only there to meet the legal requirements, which amount to sign off on the fact that you're not pocketing the money and using it personally. Or you can use your board as a way to both enhance fundraising and get expertise. And
Right.
so in an ideal world, getting people to join your board is a prestige position for them, in the sense that they're doing something good and you're getting expertise in your case, all the things you might need in business and in running a charitable entity, in animal welfare concerns, in fundraising. And so you seek a board across those. Ideally, I'd recommend you seek a board across that, and it only takes people, I probably put half a day a month into my board position. So it's not super taxing. You're asking people for 3-4 hours a month.
Okay.
You'd be really surprised by like the level of expertise you can get, because like it's like for me so I'm on the board of directors of a charity also, and I get to be like, oh, I'm on the board of directors of a charity. Very prestigious, extremely, yes. And I also put in about that amount of time. Like I'll do calls with the CEO occasionally, like we'll do directional calls and things like that. But like relative to the amount of time that it would take to like operate, like a normal business, like it's nothing. So like even like very high level philanthropists or people, and like we may already be making those connections, like right, like I'm sure that between Ethan and I, we can think of people that could possibly support this effort. And you are like not inexperienced in conservation, can start thinking about this as well. The board has to be at least 3 members.
Okay. I have a question. For a nonprofit, do you need an advisory board and a board of directors, or just a board of directors?
You do not.
Okay.
You just need a board of directors. Advisory board is if you want advice, and usually for small charities, they're the same thing. Like that is the point of your board. I'm not a lawyer at all. There are no doubt lawyers who can advise you, but the biggest thing is the board is responsible for, they have what's called fiduciary responsibility, which just means that to incorporate your charity, you'll have to create this paperwork that says what you do and what the proceeds are used for, and they have to try and make sure you're actually doing that.
Okay. I've made quite a few really great connections through my podcast, of people that I'm friends with that I think would have a lot of cool things to say about this that I haven't even talked to, because this has only been in the works for probably a week and a half now. So
cool.
Yeah, I'll start having conversations for sure.
It's really good progress for that amount of time, I think.
Thanks.
I think in terms of resources, Ethan, one of the things that I wanted to build out for her was just exactly like just from a purely like document standpoint, like what she needs. So she mentioned that there's some kind of document structure that you need to file as a 501c3, and that's what we're looking at right now is the skeleton of that. So that's number 1, right? I assume that's sort of like a is she, with the business plan that you read, is she along the lines of what she needs for that, or is there more? We're being told it's a form 1023. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's so I've only looked at this once. The charity I'm a part of was well established before that. I looked at it one time though to see what it takes, and like anything that involves the government, it's got a few hoops and hurdles. And I guess there's 2 ways to do it, right? There's way number 1 is try and figure it all out yourself, and way number 2 is pay an attorney. And the pay an attorney route is, I guess, easier, but it's complicated enough. It's cheap, so it's not cheap. I mean,
it might be that CPA can help more with that. Like we need a 501c3 filing document. I also think it would be productive to build a deck, something that we could really simply send. I'm thinking 5 to 7 slides. I already really like at the bottom here these pictures of like Maya and the creators, like Asmund, and like just like interacting with this is a skunk. I didn't see this actually. This is I didn't see this collab. This is interesting. But I've seen several of the other ones. And so I like the idea of like a more like sort of visual presentation of this. That like my basically the idea would be like if you're dealing with someone who isn't endemic to Twitch, who doesn't like isn't familiar on this platform.
Yeah.
Can you send them something that within a couple of minutes kind of gets them up to speed on what you're doing and gets you and gets them supporting you?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think like a visual presentation via like a PDF would be very productive.
Okay.
Along those lines. Yeah.
That's super doable. I structured the whole plan. So my parents founded a nonprofit in 2009. They sent me their original business plan, and I pretty much just ripped the table of contents.
Nice.
That's badass. Okay. Are there any places in this business plan right now where you feel weak?
I'm sure there are. I don't know where to start on. Well, so budget. I need to talk about like land in Texas, zoning in Texas, whether I want to buy or lease land. I've never purchased land. I've only ever rented. Right. I just graduated college, so I've only ever rented homes. I've never bought land. Insurance. I don't know where to start there either. I think those are the two super daunting ones. And then the three last pieces on the table of contents. Actually, no, I think those are doable. I just need to figure out stats that are useful for those sections.
Yeah, I think organizations like what you're doing. There's a lot of them in different ways that you can probably get a lot of. You could quickly create a list of people to talk to, but like first, there's the organization you already work with, and so whether they're a nonprofit or not, they have to have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
They will have covered some of those issues like employee, guest, and animal welfare and injury. So what can you learn there?
Right.
And then you look at something like, the SPCA. Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals is too big, but a local animal shelter that runs as a charity would probably have solved a lot of these. And for the cost of a socially distanced coffee or beer, you can probably or even just a Zoom call, you can probably fill out a lot of this, particularly if you talk to 2 or 3 of them from different what I'll call industries. But like land in Texas for a purpose like this, find a regular animal shelter. By regular, I mean standard domestic pets.
Mm-hmm.
And that will give you a lot of the data, because believe it or not, there are other concerns, again, you have to be careful of, like your next door neighbor to wherever you buy or rent being upset that you theoretically have poisonous snakes, or
right.
Like, oh my God, there's some college kid setting up a tarantula farm next to my house. That's how it gets
Right.
gets spun, right?
Yeah.
I
think I can learn a lot from the rehab center that I currently work at. I don't know why I haven't thought of looking into everything that they've done, because they're pretty new too. I think they founded in 2012 or 13.
Perfect. So there's people around.
Pardon?
Yeah, there's probably people around there who were there at the founding and
Right.
have that context of like, what did we do and what is. Yeah, if you're already working somewhere that's essentially doing this, you have to make sure they don't see you as somehow competitive or negative.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason they should, but given a positive relationship, they can probably up your knowledge
Right.
several 100% from where it stands right now, just by telling you their detailed history.
Okay. I'm in the process of becoming a board member for Make-A-Wish Central and South Texas, and I had thought about talking to them, but they're so different. Like their mission is so different, and what do you think that I could ask them that would be valuable for me to learn from them?
So the rehab center you work for now, is it structured as a charity or not?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit.
Yeah, a nonprofit. So Make-A-Wish isn't going to add a ton then, but you never know. I think the thing I would ask someone at Make-A-Wish is like, what's best about doing this? What's worst about doing it? In other words, the eyes wide open on the unexpected, what I'll call the unexpected negatives, maybe, but also the unexpected positives. Because, again, you're embarking on something that if you do it, once you take on responsibility for the animals, you're making a commitment there that ideally you'll sustain and cause the organization to sustain for a long time. And so just understanding what's it like over the long term. Mm-hmm. Another thing, and I know you have a CPA coming on shortly, the charity we're a part of is quite lucky and has about 12 months of operating capital in the bank in different ways, which was really comforting during COVID, because in the business we're in, COVID caused a drop. Like, everybody is supposed to stay at home, so trails included.
Right.
I don't know what your downside will be, but being aware, the point is you need a financial model, not just of what it takes to get started, but what if your income sources died or were cut off for a while?
Right. Yeah.
What kind of resources do you need to be able to operate until you can refund yourself? Mm-hmm. For example, not to be morbid, but let's say for whatever reason you're unable to stream and you're the primary funding source, but you're unable to stream for some period, whether due to illness or personal circumstances or whatever. Mm-hmm. How does, what is the financial plan to maintain viability of the organization? And so that's the kind of thing that's worth understanding from people who've operated charities. Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing is, I haven't seen you mention, is volunteers. That's a lot of early, I see it's in your plan where it says organization, personnel, and volunteers. Mm-hmm. Most small entities start with a lot of volunteer help and labor.
Right.
And thinking about how you're going to harness that is huge. Of course, volunteers come with a huge, also, pain in the ass factor. It's just the nature of Devin will be happy to talk to you about this. He doesn't have volunteers with his channel, or at least he didn't used to, because he felt it was hard to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying somebody, then yeah.
That's actually really true. Every single person that's associated with my channel that does any work in any way is paid. And it's because, number one, it's actually two reasons. I don't know if the second one transfers over. The first one is the accountability issue. The second one, though, is if there's some kind of dispute of services, way too many times you get like a problem where it's like, oh, like, yeah, I said I was just going to do that for him. I helped him for free. Then it got huge. Like, what if I use like a graphic or something for like merchandising, and then it sells like 10,000 shirts? And then like we didn't have an agreement that said there was a license to sell that way, right? Like, and then that person comes back and is like, I should get some of that money. Like, you see that happen all the time. So I make sure that there are those kind of understandings. But that said, like, there are ways to sort of communicate this, get around it, and I'm thinking contractual ways, but like what I'm saying is, like, you sort of, the way that you beat this is you write down the expectations, almost like I would give like a volunteer like I don't know if Ethan agrees with this. Be interesting what your take is, but like I think you give like a volunteer like an offer letter. I think you give them KPIs, list of expectations, like the whole nine. Like,
what's more common in the charitable world is volunteers just have a waiver. Like they're at least waiving, like, hey, I recognize this is dangerous. I recognize I could get hurt. And at least you're covering those aspects. It's the good news is most volunteers in a situation like this are going to be motivated to help the animals. But yeah, thinking through how to harness volunteer labor, it just reduces your costs and maybe extends your organization. So But volunteer, I guess the point both Devin and I are making is, I said earlier, employee management is a new area for you. And volunteer management is a different type of new area. And I know you've done some of that, no doubt. You mentioned having an editor, so your editor is either paid or a volunteer. I'm sure you have mods and stuff, so you have some exposure to this, but you're going to get deeper into it.
Right.
And it's going to be a little more serious around, again, because you have a board that's sort of responsible for oversight of that.
Right. Yeah, I have a production team for my conservation podcasts that are all paid. And then I served as a volunteer coordinator for my family's nonprofit, just my junior and senior year of high school. So I have some experience coordinating volunteers. Yeah. To be honest, I hated it, but that's because they have 4,000 and I wouldn't want that many. So yeah, it also, this is kind of like a nitpicky thing, but I feel like it would be difficult to recruit volunteers, because they would have to be people that I know or have connections through in real life, because I couldn't just put a volunteer application online, right? It's just not something that I want to do.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
But again,
that's a unique problem, actually.
Right. Yeah. Like how do you know that they're not just like, I don't know,
a super coomer? Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say a viewer, but sure. Yeah. That too.
I just look, we just cut through the fat. Okay.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely how you would recruit volunteers. But if you're doing this well, we sort of talked about your organization needs at least a minimum offline footprint, and there is a role potentially for volunteers in that, just because it so much of, well, we didn't talk about this. You know, your goal is to start a facility. Let me take a step back, and Devin, maybe this is the last thing I'll talk about, so you can go to the CPA.
No, take your time.
Why?
Man. Like this is real good. Yeah.
Why? What is your? If we step back and ask, what's the why behind a facility? What are you actually trying to accomplish? What's your motivation? What's the long-term vision?
For me, like a massive part of inspiring people and getting people to listen about conservation is the animal ambassadors. Also seeing like their creators and their streamers interact with those animal ambassadors, and I have to have a facility to provide them with adequate living spaces and decent lives in captivity, I think.
Okay. Got it. So the point there is, going from 10 ambassadors to 100 or 10 facilities is not really, it's not like you're trying to franchise at this point, because it's not really, you need ambassadors in order to get a message to the world. Your actual goal is to try and get a conservation and love of endangered species out to a new generation. Is that a better characterization of the goal?
Yes.
So hypothetically, if you found a way to do that didn't require ambassadors in a facility, the thrust of what you're doing would be about that message. Not that that's the point, but your goal is actually to raise awareness and generate interest in conservation, not to run a facility. That's a necessary component.
Right. I think that is kind of what I'm trying to do with my podcast right now. So there are no animal ambassadors involved, unless my guest has some and brings them on while we're talking. I just think that I could have a far greater impact and generate a lot more content with the ambassadors. I'm satisfied with how much the podcast is done and how much it's grown and how much we've raised, but I just want to do more.
And I agree with you. I agree with you that there's nothing like seeing people interact with an animal. And so I'm not questioning that. It's important to understand what is the goal, because it drives the question of, for example, if you have an extra $10, or in this case, probably extra 1,000, you're going to have more impact for what you want to do by flying with one of your animals to be live with someone famous with a big audience than by building a new enclosure. And so just understanding what is your goal to expand the facility or is it to expand the media reach? And what I'm getting is you're trying to reach more people,
Right.
which is, and I was headed down a wrong, the thing both Devin and I will talk about eventually or think about is we're empire builders, right? How do we build the biggest business? And so
Yeah.
we're trying to turn you into Steve Irwin, whether you want to go that way or not, because that's the biggest reach and the most impact.
Right.
So why not shoot for that?
There's a good sales like analogy here where it's like kind of a classic thing that's taught in sales. Okay, so guy walks into a hardware store, comes up to a person, says, "I need a drill." Okay, and the salesperson sells him a drill. So this would be considered and like an average salesperson. What a good salesperson does is realize that what that person really wants to do is make holes, right? Their objective is to fix something, make a hole in a wall. So what the salesperson does is ask questions and say, what is it actually that you want to do? Guy goes, well, I need to make a hole in my wall about like, X, Y, Z big. Maybe there's a better tool to do that. So I think what Ethan is getting at is that if your mission is to make the biggest impact with the biggest reach, something we both identify with a lot, I think, then we should also think around ways to do that may or may not be involved with like an actual enclosure and everything that we've structured so far.
Yeah, maybe the best route for you is let me go a completely non-enclosure way for a moment. Maybe the best thing for you to do is through people, you have a large audience, they have connections. It's actually surprising how well the Twitch audience is connected. Maybe the best thing for you to do is to find people in your network that can get you into zoos or rehab centers that exist to do things with animals that are already being cared for elsewhere. And the better approach for you is to end up flying to the San Diego Zoo and to the Chengdu Panda Research Center in China and so on, and doing shows from those locations.
Right.
I'm not trying to change your vision.
No, I see what you're saying.
I'm just trying to open your mind to, as you formulate your business plan and your charity, you want to have at the heart of it the actual goal, which is to encourage conservation interest in a new online generation, not to build a facility. The facility may be a necessary and valuable part of that, but not the only part. That's all.
Yeah.
Devin's...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, Devin's writing down encourage conservation interests in a new
That
online
was
generation.
A really good tagline. That was a super good tagline. Yeah.
That is good.
You should tune that, right? You should tune it to make sure it's your words. But building your mission around that and then realizing, oh, this is a tool. This is a way to do that.
Right.
As an analogy, Washington Trails Association, their goal is trails for everyone forever. So we're trying to create trails that are accessible, that have access for a diverse populace and are preserved for the long term. But one of the things the organization discovered over time is that meant doing trail work. But the trail work was a way to engage volunteers and let them get to know the organization and become ambassadors themselves, not the mission. And so I'm just helping you tease through the idea of differentiating the tools from the mission.
Okay.
I think that's
Appreciate
super important, and I want to also echo on it, because the other way to think about this is there are so many verticals that you can go if your goal is exposure. Because, for example, right, Pokemon's cat has a bigger brand than I will ever have. I will ever build it. She has more followers on Instagram than I have on YouTube and Twitch combined, right? Like that's just the reality of it. And it's like this fucking cat doesn't even know where it is or what it is. But okay,
yeah.
but it has a better social media following than me. So and that reason is because people associate with animals in a certain way, right? Like they have a sort of attachment to them. And so if your goal is this kind of exposure, well, a very logical thing to do would be especially if you start with a few animals, you kind of give them personalities. You kind of well, I mean, they have personalities, sorry, you sort of you give them you make them social media people, right? Like you give them that kind of presence,
Right.
and then through that messaging, they explain why conservation is important.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
yeah,
the function, the ideal function of an ambassador. So American Eagle Foundation has done really well with that. They have several accounts on Instagram, and they're probably on Facebook and Twitter as well. But like George the Vulture is one of the vulture ambassadors that they have at their center in Tennessee, and he's got like 15K or so on Instagram. And they have Poe the Raven, and I'm not sure if they have one for Challenger. They have Bash the Black Vulture on Instagram. So they do. Oh yeah, there it is. Pulling it up.
Yeah.
So George does pretty well on Instagram. I think my initial thought what Ethan, what you were describing is similar to what. Do you guys know who Jack Hanna is? Yeah, kind of. So Jack Hanna does something similar where he goes on like the Tonight Show and the Late Show and stuff like that. And the last facility that I worked at was a rescue zoo for only ambassadors. And so we would bring animals to the Tonight Show and the Late Show. And I know that he meets those animals like on set the day of. And just for me personally, part of the experience is knowing the ambassadors that I'm working with and doing the training and all that myself. And part of what inspired me to do the conservation cast in the first place is the way that I kind of blew up on Twitch is I was rehabilitating a red-tailed hawk, and I rehabbed him on stream, and then I released him, and my chat just fell in love with this bird. And I was like, and it's how my channel grew in the first place. So then I was like, imagine if this was a bird from a species that really, really needed help, you know? And I think the impact of them knowing that animal and caring about it, see, my chat is all like, feel strong, man, bean. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think there's a big impact in them knowing the animal and like seeing intimate parts of its life. So that's also part of it, is I would like to, like, I don't know, I'd like for part of my content to be like training and the ups and downs and the husbandry and the enrichment and stuff like that. But it could be both.
And that goes both your authenticity and to your personal message that you think you can. There's nothing, in other words, that's fantastic. I think having some of that clarity and having it come through, I would encourage you. I read the business plan as it exists.
Mm-hmm.
I would try writing some of that down,
Okay.
Yeah.
so that you can then check the business plan against it. Is the business plan focused on this? Is the board set up for it? Is the land set up for it? Because the more you crystallize that, even if it changes maybe in the future or you learn more about it, it just, stepping away from it being a charity, the number one advice for startups is focus, focus, focus. Know what you're trying to do, because there will be so much you could do.
Right.
And there'll be limited time, both your personal time and resources. And so being really clear on what rehab projects you're going to take on, and because people will hear about you and they'll be like, oh, I have an injured cat. Can you take care of my injured
I get
cat?
that all the time. Yeah.
Right. And you know, injured cats need care too, but maybe not from you
Right.
and your foundation. And so it's just super important to have that laser focus.
Yeah, for sure.
So more attention on writing down, like in the business plan, like exactly how you plan to do this kind of exposure and how that would work for you. And we can't even get that very granular, like down to like that actually like goes so far. You can literally break that down into a weekly schedule, right? Like you can like if you want to, you can get to the point where it's like you can go very, very, very high level and be like, okay, like in general, I want to do like X number of collaborations. I want to give this particular animal that I feel like a lot of people identify with, like to like an Instagram account. You can do that, but then you can like granular. You can also plan that out. And I think that's important too. Is like what Ethan's saying is like, I think that one of your potential dangers is that you just get like really, really focused on the conservation side of things, and you're spending all of your time like taking care of animals and things like that, which may not actually accomplish your mission of exposing people and making the impact to the most amount possible. Because it seems to me that like you need to structure yourself more as sort of a brand ambassador yourself, for this particular messaging, than you do an actual conservationist. If your message is to expose this to the most amount of people for the greatest amount of impact. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think part of part of my idea is streaming at the facility though, so like essentially doing
Yep.
zookeeping on stream and husbandry and
I think that's really good idea.
okay, so just kill two birds
Yeah.
with one that's a terrible phrase to use for this, but you know what I'm talking about.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That was priceless. And I think it's okay to speak actual English and not have
Right.
not have people take it wrongly.
But yeah, that way it would be productive is what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that works well for Twitch that loves long form, right? Where
Right.
you're going to do better with hours of time.
Right, for sure.
So
Streamers
Cool.
are already zookeepers, so I don't think the transition is that bad.
I live with 5
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm already doing it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Ms. Kip was a rescue.
You get this all the time. When are you releasing
Yeah.
this gift? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I think this is really I think this is really good.
Okay.
Yeah, like it feels to me like a really strong start. What do you think, Ethan?
I think it's good. I'd be interested to see version 2, right? This is going to evolve. It's it's amazing for a week of thought, and obviously you have the exposure to your parents' charitable efforts as well as like you have a lot more equipment for this than most people 40 years old, let alone 22 would have. So I think you're well positioned for it, but it needs bake time. These things need iteration, and the effort of writing it sharpens your thinking, like trying to put things down in coherent words that others can read drives your thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like a term paper. I'm sure you love that analogy.
Miss those. Love that. Okay.
Yeah.
When's the last time either of us have written a term paper, dude? Like, did they have paper back when we wrote term papers? Didn't we use papyrus?
Yeah, no,
Egyptian
cuneiform.
cotton.
We'll go very clay tablets and little marks.
Yeah, stone tablets.
Okay.
Made the word limits very difficult. Well, cool. I mean, I don't know. Like Ethan, I don't know if we want to take too much more of your time. I think this is amazing.
Yeah, I think I've given the value I had at this point. I'd love to see it again. And Maya, I think what you're doing is really cool. You're right. There's a quote in your business plan. I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember the gentleman, but about the idea that people only protect what they love. We believe the same thing about the work I do, and only if people are engaged with the animals, because how do you protect an animal you've never seen or heard of?
Right.
It's very hard to generate sympathy or empathy for animals and environments that you've never seen or heard of. And so there's this delicate balance between exposing them, and obviously using non-releasable ambassadors is perfect because you're not pulling an animal from the environment, but at the same time you're giving people the chance to be close to a living, breathing example of that species. Right. So I think the kernel of your plan is really great.
Thank you so much for your time. This was super, super helpful. I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, you're very welcome.
What's your Twitch channel?
Yeah, how do we find you?
It's Ethan Evans. So it's just my name. I'll be streaming later today after Devin's done. So
nice.
Twitch.tv/Ethan Evans.
Yeah. It's I have an exclamation mark Ethan in my chat. You can always type. It's a permanent command.
I have exclamation Devin. So our bromance is strong. But
it is.
Separate.
It's incredibly strong. It's unbreakable even. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we ended up both in Seattle doing the same thing on Twitch, which is just weird. Like strange coincidence. So.
And actually, yeah, that is weird. But yeah, same type of mission. It's good.
Yep. All right. Well, it was a pleasure, Maya. I wish you great luck, and I'll keep track of what you do. If you need more advice, reach out through Devin, or if you have questions for me, I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ethan.
Nice to meet you.
Have a great rest of your time there, man, and we'll catch up when you're back in Seattle.
Sounds good, man. Cheers.
All right, brother. Peace. So was that helpful? I mean, Ethan is amazing. Yeah.
What a sick connection. That's so crazy.
He's He's awesome. Yeah, he's totally incredible.
Small
I'm
world, man.
really glad that you got something good out of that.
Yeah, that was super productive.
Yeah, it's just like sometimes like I think like, man, if I just like I haven't ever done like conservation, that particular thing. Like we gotta like find someone that does. I want to bring on a CPA who's licensed in Texas,
Sick.
which should be really, really productive. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, and then we'll
Same.
do that. That's
Okay.
Okay,
Chat,
cool. Let's do
enjoy.
that.
Your
Alright.
break.
Yeah.
Your break from the density. Okay. Intermission. Dude, that was like. Phew. It was a productive conversation. Go get snacks. I'm gonna go get my candy. Alright. I didn't get candy, but I have a cinnamon roll that I got from McDonald's this morning. I had never had McDonald's hash browns until yesterday, and I got them at the same time this morning because they're really good. They're really good. How? I don't know. The last time I ate a breakfast from McDonald's, it was when I was in 5th grade, and I got pancakes, and I ate them in the car in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and I threw up in the car. So I just hadn't eaten McDonald's breakfast again. Oh, I am adding Ethan Evans as a friend. Please accept my friend request, Ethan Evans.
Yo. Is she back? Nope.
Yo.
You guys haven't. Oh, hey, same time. Just gonna ask them if they're having fun.
We're having fun. I'm having fun.
I love this. Is my jam.
I know.
It
Wait,
really
okay.
is.
Devin, you founded
Yes.
an esports org? A talent agency?
Started a talent agency. I joined 2 esports orgs while they were still going, and sold one of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the agency we
Oh.
built. The agency we built from the ground up, Novo.
Got it. Okay. Because I knew you were CEO, Andy, and did I already tell you this?
No, tell me what.
No, well, so I knew that I wanted to talk to you because you'd have good insight, but then I told my mom that I set up a call, or that we set up a call, and she was like, oh, what's his title? What does he do? And I was like, I actually don't know. So, I should have asked you that earlier. I forgot.
Yeah, it's nebulous. I mean, I guess I'm like, at the end of the day, I'm co-owner of Novo, and also like I guess, and then I was the reason I get CEO Andy, I think the background on that is when I was streaming a lot on, and like LSF was clipping me a lot, like which finally has stopped. And that's, thank God. Like they would always clip me in some context of me saying that I'm a CEO, and I don't actually say it that often. But they're like, well, this guy's always saying he's a CEO Andy, right? Like, here we go, because I'm always like, well, back in the day when I was a CEO, you know, like, so it just like and they just thought I was doing it all the time, so it became a meme and stuck with it.
You know how Twitch users are. They find something, they'll stick to it.
Yeah, it's like a kindergarten like preschool generator. Like they just go through insults till they get one.
How do you feel about live stream fails?
Uh-oh. like in terms of, so can we expand on the question? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I don't want to talk analytically. I'm just asking you, like, do you hate it? Like, do you hate Redditors?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like analytically, it's like or like growing it like in terms of like exposure, it's really good. But like I think in terms of its impact on one thing to remember about LSF is that LSF is actually a really, really small part of the. I was gonna say smart. Smart is not the correct word. Small part of the Twitch audience, right? There's only about 1 million followers on it, and like the number of people that go to the website is like pretty insignificant compared to the amount of daily active users. So the I just think it tends to be very concentrated toxicity, and that
Oh my God.
bothers me. Yeah.
You just very eloquently worded what took me at least a year to sort out in my head. Like,
In what sense?
just like you see negative comments on LSF and you're like, oh my God, my viewers hate me. And it took me so long to realize that even if I got a massive hate arc on LSF, my viewership probably wouldn't change. If anything, it would increase. And like my community wouldn't change because it's not my community talking shit on Reddit. It's a bunch of bitches.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one thing, the only time this becomes a problem is if you build your entire brand off of LSF. So like, there's been, there's been some streamers that have. But here's the thing, right? Like you've had time to normalize, but there's been streams where like the streamer starts, they have. I don't want to like name specific streamers, right? But there's like several people that I've talked to offline that have this problem.
Mizkif.
And I don't know if Mizkif has this problem because I think he was like born in it. He's like part of the sludge monster. Like I mean maybe he does. Like you could speak more personally to this, but I don't know. But like there are broadcasters who have been built off of LSF completely, and then they sort of like turn back around and they're like, shit, my community sucks. and then they have to like dial it all the way back, and they have to like kind of significantly change their content. And I've had like a lot of offline conversations with people that have had this problem. And this is. There's a concept in marketing
Chat
that's like
knows.
Chat always knows. Yeah. There's a concept in marketing that's like good exposure like versus bad exposure, but in reality all exposure is exposure. What like you like
So we should
for
get
every
ourselves
person.
banned?
Well, maybe. Or like you could like post something. The thing what I'm saying is like if there's a top Reddit thread of me and it says this guy is like a narcissistic, pretentious dick, like 99% of the threads are, right? Like, I don't sweat that because for every one person that decides to write me off from that, there might be 5 or 10 to discover my channel and decide to check it out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good optimistic way of thinking.
I don't sweat it, but I also want to say, Maya, like, I don't read it. Like, I legit, like, I have
That's
one
the
of the
way to
things
go.
I've done, especially in the past 2 months. Yep, streamers say they don't read it, but they do.
No, yeah, I read it.
Yeah, like I legit do not go on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit. Like I just live my life and try to create the most meaningful stuff I can possible.
That's good because it doesn't affect
been
you
a
at
huge
all.
increase. If I go on like Twitter or like Instagram, like I immediately get depressed. Like, oh fuck, like all these people in like successful relationships that are like way hotter than me, way richer than me, way more famous than me, talking about things they're doing that are way more interesting than what I'm doing.
I had this issue.
It's like, yeah.
I only had this issue with DMs.
DMs.
Like
What do you
people
mean?
DMing me on Twitter and people DMing me on Instagram. And
People
I
DMing me.
finally figured out how to turn off DMs on Instagram. I had to switch the type of account that I had. But
Yeah.
that fucked with my mental. Just DMs. Comments and like... I mean, LSF comments bother me if it's a hate comment and it's massively upvoted. The ones at the bottom, I don't care at all. But the DMs bothered me for a long time, but now they're gone, so it's fine.
DMs are, depending on like the content creator, can be like really, really, really toxic. For you, like I'm sure a lot of them can be pretty bad. I have some female creators that we represent in the agency, and we have co-email with them. So when somebody sends, yeah. So like for example, like actually I don't want to say particularly, but it's a very prominent female influencer that we represent, and her address is streamer@novo.tv, right? And so she gets a copy of the email, we get a copy of the email.
Right.
And the emails are fucking nuts. It's like, let me see your feet. You are a beautiful goddess. Or like it's just insane shit. And it's like
Those ones don't bother me because I think they're funny. I had a hard time with
Yeah.
the like actual super invested people that were like, you do realize your stream's getting boring, like you haven't done this in a really long time. You're doing this and it's not working, and you're losing viewers, and then people that are like, you're cheating on your boyfriend. That's also kind of annoying, but that's less annoying.
Oh, that's right, because you get the crossover from Mizkif's community too, so they take you personally if they feel like you're like affronting him in some way.
Crossover.
That's really annoying. So what I'm saying is, like, if somebody might actually like come at you, like not even watching your stream, they might come at you because of Mizkif.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, which is awful. Yeah, that's. I mean, people that DM me just tell me to die in a fire, and that's like fine. Like they're like, you're really arrogant, like very narcissistic. I'm like, yeah. There's no disagreement here. Yes. Yeah. Like that's totally fine. And like I turned off DMs as well, and I think it was like a big increase in my happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm gonna get. Is it cool if I bring this CP on?
Yes.
She is super cool. So I think this will be another way to kind of talk through some of the more like logistic stuff. I'm gonna add her right now.
All right. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Neither of us know what we're talking about on this thing, so that's why I'm. Oh, actually. Oh, fuck that. That wasn't right. Sorry. I'm like learning Discord and such a. It didn't work. Hang on. Add. Oh, it did it. Shelbs.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Very, very good. Shelbs, this is Maya.
Good to meet you, Maya.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And Maya, this is Shelbs. Shelbs is a certified personal accountant in Texas.
Nice.
And also like an avid member of the community. And so I thought she could impact this and help.
That's super
Sure.
easy.
So just to level set, I haven't read your business plan and didn't catch the start of the stream,
Okay.
but happy to help how I can.
Thank you.
What?
So, I was just gonna say like the general idea.
Yeah, let's do that.
So generally, my idea, my plan, my hope is to build a facility where I house or provide permanent sanctuary for non-releasable educational ambassadors, so animals with a permanent injury or a permanent handicap or confiscated from the illegal pet trade, and train them to be ambassadors for educational outreach programs. So bring them out to programs and teach people about them, and then collaborate with other creators, YouTubers, streamers, what have you, so they can meet the animals and share the conservation messages with their audiences, so we can maximize our impact that way.
Okay. And so you're thinking about turning this into a business, maybe a nonprofit?
I would really like for it to be a nonprofit, but we talked before about how confusing that gets with taxes, because I would want a lot of the content would be on my channel. And so I would be making money through like subs and bits while using the assets of the nonprofit, which is confusing.
Yeah, so there are kind of two big distinctions between it being your personal thing, a business, and then a nonprofit.
Okay.
So the purpose of turning anything into a business instead of it just having your personal income is really from a liability standpoint. So say in the unfortunate scenario that someone tripped and fell while they were visiting your animals, or one of your animals got hurt or hurt someone, right? You wouldn't want that person to be able to come and sue you directly.
Right.
You would want to make sure that that stays in the confines of the business.
Okay.
So that can be as simple as setting up an LLC.
Okay.
When you look at wanting to get things like tax advantage, being eligible for certain grants and stipends that government entities offer, that's when you want to be a nonprofit and have that 501c3 distinction.
Okay.
I think the complication we're running into is if she has a she is going to operate her broadcast as both a business thing, like for profit, as in, that was a terrible description. Holy shit. Take two. Like, she is going to try to operate her stream as both a for-profit entity, as well as have a component of that stream be dedicated towards a non-profit. How do we differentiate those things? Is that differentiatable?
I'm not sure what the capabilities of the Twitch backend are. My assumption would be that you would need those to be different channels if you're wanting sub income to be able to go to the nonprofit. One way you
Okay.
could look at doing it is subs would be personal income for you, Maya, and then you would have a donation link. So instead of using Stream Elements or whatever you might be using now, right, going to you, it would go directly to whatever company you set up.
Right.
So that would be one way that you could run both on the same stream. The big issue that you'll run into with some of this overlap is the commingling of assets, and you want to limit that as much as possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you? What you're saying?
So say you kept your donation link to where the money would go into your personal account first, and then you wanted to send that money to your business. You, as a person, as an individual, would still get taxed on that money.
Right.
Whereas if you can have it go directly to your business, then you don't personally get taxed on it.
Okay. Wait, so backtracking a little bit, I'm reading your notepad, Devin.
Yeah.
Subs would have to be different. Subs may be personal income, and the donation link goes directly to the 501c3.
It seems so. What Shelbs is talking about is that it seems to me also, and this is my perception as well, that like, okay, how do we differentiate that a subscriber is subscribing because they want to support the conservation effort or because they want to support you, Maya, the streamer? This is a very murky. So the core concept here is if we are going to have two entities kind of be a part of the same thing, we need to be clear about what income goes where. Okay. So if somebody subs and like that money goes to you personally, that is taxed as income. That's income. That's taxed by the federal government, not state, because you're in Texas, but like it's taxed by federal. If it goes to the 501c3, it's not, which is like a meaningful difference, like 30-40%, right? And so if somebody subs, you can't clearly justify to the IRS any way that I can see that somebody is subbing on the same channel for you personally or for your charity. That doesn't shake out. So I don't think there's a way to make subs I'm saying you can't contribute sub income to the 501c3.
Right.
But what you can do is you can do a separate donation link, right? That goes to it.
Right.
Or you can set up your channel so that all donations go to it.
That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Here's to make it even murkier. Is it possible because so I use Stream Elements, right? And for my podcast each week, I usually hook up the organization's PayPal to my account for the organization that I'm fundraising for, so that I don't see any of the money. Could I switch the account when I'm using the assets of the nonprofit, like when I'm streaming at the facility, and then if I'm doing a desktop, like my normal stream, could I make it my account?
You will need to have a plethora of disclosures.
Okay.
Because the last thing you want is someone donating, thinking that they're donating to an entity like a 501c3, right? And then it's actually going to you.
Right.
Because if that individual tries to claim it as a donations on their own taxes, right? So like say I donate $1,000 to you and I think it's going to your conservation efforts. If I try to write that off on my personal taxes, then both you and me are going to get into hot water with the IRS.
Right. Okay.
And you don't want to fuck with the IRS.
Right.
They're the number one do not fuck with organization.
I mean,
yeah.
I guess I could.
So to me, I think that as much as like, I don't know how willing this is to do, but it seems like the really simple thing for me is to make it so that all donations just go to your conservation effort.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say a second channel. That would be fine.
Say a second channel. I don't think that's viable.
Okay, yeah, good. Because knowing me anyway, I'm gonna put a few thousand a month into it regardless, and I don't make much more than that in donations. So
let me real quickly just outline that, because I think a lot of people in chat don't understand this. Starting a second channel on Twitch or YouTube or whatever is an enormous brand hit. she has to regain all those followers. She has to like there's a huge amount of passive attention that just by her clicking the start streaming button, by virtue of how many followers she has, will beget a larger audience. And the other reason for this is also psychological and spiritual, which is like, now you've got two businesses, you've got two channels you've got to run. Okay, this channel is a collaboration with Ms. Kiff holding a bird. Is that going to be on the main channel, or is that going to be on this? It's a total clusterfuck, and it's not worth a lot of in business. A lot of what you don't do is more important than what you do. And limiting it so that it can be accessible and easy to you personally is very, very important.
Yeah,
so that's why we're trying to make this figure out on the Maya channel.
Someone in your chat said, plus you lose all that extra time on your main channel. That's the other thing is, and now I need to think about it because of what Ethan said about it shouldn't be built off of personality. But part of this, but if it's a nonprofit, this doesn't work. But part of having this and like making my content from the facility is really like digging into my niche that I've already started creating on Twitch. So it is developing my brand.
I agree. I also, just like from a brand building standpoint, I think that you should you as a person should continue to invest in building your brand anyway. Like that I think, like, I believe that like having a personal brand is like a very good like 10, 15, 20-year plan no matter what you do, because it will add that much more equity to you. Like you could be in something completely different in 9 years, but like what I'm saying is like if in the course of this you decide to let go of Maya the brand and you embrace a conservation brand, right? What happens is I think like if that conservation brand, like something happens to it, or you just decide to go a different direction, well, you don't have that personal equity that you built up. So I think that like I also think that people relate better to subjects through individuals as well. So we use the example in our first talk, I used the example of like Neil deGrasse Tyson with astrophysics, or Sam Harris with philosophy, right? Or Steve Irwin with animals. That like through an individual you can do a lot greater impact than sometimes an entire organization. Organizations are nebulous. They're many different people that represent many different things. It's more difficult to sit behind one and make people care about it. It's possible, but it's more difficult than it is to be an individual. So I think that you should be thinking about all these things, forward thinking all these things in mind, with your brand in mind, your personal brand in mind.
Right. Okay. I would be fine with the donation link. So then are subs and bits not an issue then? Or
Those would still go to you.
But is that okay if it's a nonprofit?
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh.
No, wait. So what she's saying clearly is subs and bits do not ever. Let's think about this in terms of where the money ends up. I think that's productive, right? So I mean physically where it ends up. So if somebody donates, maybe that goes through PayPal and it ends up in a business checking account that is labeled nonprofit for a 501c3. Okay, that's where it goes. Sub and bit donations, sub and bit donations. Subs get paid via ACH and bits actually also. So all that, advertising, sub, and bit revenue gets paid, I think, like once a month by Twitch, and it gets paid through ACH to a totally separate bank account that is either your personal account or your LLC that you set up to represent your brand. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So the point being that money never goes into your personal account. And then that makes it very easy for a CPA to look at it and say, okay, everything in this is one of the reasons why, like, for me, right? If I spend something on my business and I buy something that's a business expense, I put that on a separate credit card.
Right, same.
And then at the end of the year, and then if I buy some like groceries or some shit, I put that on my other card. At the end of the year, I have an LLC, and so at the end of the year, I hand my CPA. I need a CPA, so I will hand my theoretical CPA the bank account of my business. All that, I just say, write all that off. That's all business expenses.
Yep.
Easy, right? And then I take my personal stuff. That is going to be taxed personally. This is like step number 1 to like being financially like aware, is like you separate those two things. So you would do that in the same way with your Twitch channel. That money that gets donated would never ever hit any kind of personal account.
Right.
Just go straight into the charity.
Which is fine. But so
Okay.
is there I'm fine with that. Just having a donation link that goes into an account or that's transferred into an account for the nonprofit, fine.
It needs to go directly to the nonprofit account.
That's right. That's what I'm
If
saying.
it touches your personal accounts,
You're fucked.
you get taxed on it.
Right.
Yep.
So if it's like done through Stream Elements and I link up a PayPal that belongs to the or is run by the nonprofit, like info@name.org or whatever, then that's not an issue. Then I just transfer it into the nonprofit's account from Stream Elements.
Yep, it'll
Okay.
go as long as it goes directly to the nonprofit account.
Yes. Okay. So with subs and bits, Devin, what you were saying about like, are they subbing to support me or are they subbing to support?
So, also shelves. Is it a problem that? Sorry, real quick. Just like, I'm gonna answer that in a second. But is it a problem that does Stream Elements act as like a bank account effectively or an account in some way, or does it just matter the money just ends up?
There's SE Pay. So like,
Yeah, so Stream Elements probably takes a little bit like off the top, right? I assume they take some sort of cut.
Yeah.
They take some transactional fees, some negligible amount. Yeah, I think it's like 2
Yeah,
or 3%.
that's fine as long as it goes directly to the nonprofit.
Okay.
Okay, so the way that this is structured is subs, bits, and revenue paid by Twitch.
Those would go
This-
to Maya's LLC.
Goes to Maya's well, if she has one, or
I don't
personal
have one
account,
right now,
right?
but
Yeah.
Okay, Maya's personal.
Most streamers don't have LLC shelves. Yeah.
Don't
this
tell me
is
that.
Wait, what? Yeah, they don't have them.
Miss has one.
Miz has one? Subs, bits, revenues paid by Twitch goes to and then the actual donations are, so I guess these end up in a Stream Elements
Stream Elements to
account. Yeah, and then
501c3.
go straight to a 501c3. Is there some kind of a specific account that is for 501c3s, or just a bank account, like checking account?
It's just a standard checking account. There's a process that you have to go through in order to get that distinction at the federal level and the state level. And we can talk through that if you want.
Okay. Maya.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's something that I need to look into right now. But
Okay.
down the road for sure, I'll need to know about that.
But we understand how income's gonna be split up, right?
Yeah, but I'm still. So is it not an issue that the subs and bits and revenue go to me, even if there's that murky, like, are they supporting me or are they supporting my conservation stuff? You know, like, how do I make that disclosure when they're subbing? I can't do like a pop up when they sub.
Right. So say you have a donation link, right? And you have some sort of command in chat, or it's a panel. You would want to make sure that on that panel or in some sort of tag with that donation link that you clearly outline that it's going directly to this not-for-profit and not to you, Maya, the streamer.
And then in that donation link, I can just say like subs and bits go to Maya, and that's enough of a disclosure, even if they don't see it like when they sub.
So it being your channel, like Maya's channel,
Right.
is the distinction that you need for the subs, bits,
Okay.
whatever. The distinction that you want to make is for anything that happens outside of Twitch.
Okay, that makes sense. So for bounties, it's not an issue either. That's just through Twitch.
I assume that's paid out the same way as
Okay.
other Twitch income.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
is.
the key is to think about how it's being paid out, because Twitch is paying you directly through ACH, and subs, bits, revenue, advertising. That all goes into that. So as long as that money is kept totally separate, at the end of the year, you tell the IRS, look, everything that went into this account is the 501c3. Everything that went into this is subs, bits, revenue for my own personal business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Connor said, worst case, you pay to license the content from the nonprofit. Oh. I see. Okay. Okay.
You shouldn't have to do that since you
Yeah,
own it. So
right.
so you should just be able to write that for yourself since you're the executive director.
So I should be able to
Yeah.
write an agreement that I can use assets from the nonprofit on my stream.
Yeah, of course, you own it. Yeah, so I mean, you
Kind
wouldn't
of.
even
Kind
wait,
of.
Why? What's up?
So as part of becoming a 501c3, one thing that you'll have to do, Maya, is write your conflict of interest
Right.
policy.
Okay.
Oh,
So anything that might violate that policy, you know, that helps you.
Mhm.
So say, for instance, you were trying to become an employee and you wanted to pay yourself, that has to be reviewed by an independent body in order for it to float.
Okay. An independent body, could that be like members of my board, or does it have to be outside of the nonprofit?
It depends on who the other members of your board are.
Okay.
I guess think about it this way. If they too would have a conflict of interest, they're not independent, so you wouldn't be able to use them.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Okay, I'm trying to think of what other questions that I have for you. Go ahead.
I have 3 big things, but just want to make sure that like payment is totally like understood.
It makes sense to me.
Okay. Yeah. Shelby, do you think there's anything more on payment?
For payments?
Yeah.
No, the big thing is just make sure that you don't intermingle those assets, because once you start doing that, if you have the nonprofit distinction, there's a good chance you lose it.
Okay.
Can we talk a little bit about board of directors, like how that looks?
Yeah. For sure. What about it?
I'm talking to Shelby. That's
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever you are actually setting up your organization, and regardless of whether or not you go the nonprofit route or just a standard business route, at a minimum you want an LLC. That's just to remove you from liability concerns. But in Texas, you're required to have 3 directors as part of your nonprofit. And they really need to be independent to some extent. So that means like you don't want to have your mom and your dad, right, as the other 2 members. You want them to be knowledgeable about whatever sort of business you're trying to run, but so long as they don't have that familial connection, you can get by with just 3. There's no residency requirements, so they don't even have to be in Texas.
Okay.
Beyond that, you do have to have what's called, the state of Texas calls it a registered agent. That can be one of those people, that can be you. This is essentially the person who's going to receive like any sort of legal documentation. And that person has to have a Texas address.
Okay. Maya, Mizkif, and Mitch done. No. No.
Oh God.
Definitely
Jesus,
not.
no. No. Hard no. Yeah. Good Lord. That's the fastest way to tank a organization ever. Was it? Okay. Like how are there any other considerations to like the nature of these board members? Or they could kind of be anyone that's not like personally associated.
That's really the only thing that the state of Texas is going to be worried about whenever you're
Okay.
filing your articles of incorporation. The rest is just really up to you, right? So just like any business, you want people who are going to contribute, who can help out and do their role.
Okay. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. Great. What are your thoughts on Texas state government programs that might help her out? Because I wrote down that apparently Texas has a state program called Capital Access, which can be used for facilities, and I guess they have a particular focus on animal rescue. So it's actually quite possible that a significant amount of your funding could come from Texas itself. And I wonder if you have any impact on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so federally, state, and even locally, there are all sorts of programs for grants. They can be a couple of thousand to tens of thousands, right, to a lot more. This is where it's really helpful to have someone who's knowledgeable in grant writing, because you do have to apply for this sort of funding. Essentially, you are pitching them your business, right? So you want some sort of pitch deck, and depending on what the grant is, they'll ask for different sorts of information. So they might want to see your annual returns. They might want to see just a blanket pitch deck. They might want to see your bylaws.
Right.
And one benefit to going the full route of becoming a 501c3 is that it lends you extra credibility when trying to get those grants, because it is a long process to get that distinction. And in some cases, it's even the minimum requirement.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I've written a handful of grants, but I'm not necessarily good at it, so I may think of some people who would be better.
And the other question I had, and I'm not sure how much we can impact this, insurance?
So that's kind of the big thing about liability. Do you know where
Yeah.
you plan on having the animals?
Like, location in Texas?
Is it like where you personally live? Are
Yeah.
you going to have a business location?
Well, a separate location near where I live, so like Central Texas, but separate site.
Okay, so same thing as after you set up your business, you're going to want to try and get different sorts of insurance for that business. There are a plethora of different types, right? So you're going to want insurance that covers your business itself. So that's your property. You're going to want personal liability insurance. So this is like if somebody comes and, falls and hurts themselves or hurt an animal or get hurt by an animal. You're going to want umbrella insurance that basically covers all sorts of different things that might happen on your property.
Okay.
General liability can be pretty good as well.
Yeah.
And then are you going to have any sort of cars or automobiles?
No, not at the start. I'm not planning on it.
Okay. The important thing too will just be making sure that at least one of those that you get will cover any sort of transit. So like say you're moving the animal from one location to another, it's typically referred to as gap insurance.
Okay.
If you think about like driving a car off a lot right before you get insurance for that new car, it essentially covers whatever the new change that's coming in.
Okay.
So if you're transporting an animal to your business and the car gets hit, it insures that animal.
Okay.
For what it's worth, in my experience, this is a far less complicated process than it sounds. When I did this in 2 businesses, and how it works is like an insurance dude that is from one of the big insurance companies, like literally shows up at your house, gives you a package with all of this in it, and gives you a price. And so this is it's as simple as calling like one of those large insurance companies, and then they just come and do the whole thing.
Okay.
Yep. I think on stream I heard you mention bringing some of the animals to different events. So you just want to make sure that those sorts of things get covered as well.
Okay. And it's okay for that to be done in my personal vehicle?
So in your personal vehicle, yes, but that likely won't be covered by your personal insurance.
Okay.
So just like how if you're an Uber driver, right, your personal insurance doesn't cover you while you're Ubering.
Right.
You have to have a different type. Yep.
Okay.
So government programs, insurance, and board were my major 3. Is there anything on your mind, Maya, that you're wondering? I know it's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
This is kind of a small thing maybe, but if people are donating to the stream and it's going directly to the nonprofit, does there need to be a system where they receive an email, like a tax letter for that donation, or can they just write it off?
So they'll need to get some sort of receipt.
Okay.
That's fairly standard for larger donations too. So if you're talking about trying to get, funding outside of Twitch, those sorts of players have to have evidence that they donated to a charity
And
in order to be able to write it off.
Sorry. Okay. Is the PayPal email that you get when you send money sufficient, or do they need to get a separate tax letter?
The PayPal one, so long as it's your non-profit PayPal,
Right.
it should be sufficient.
Okay. Cool.
But keep in mind that that also requires you to be a non-profit.
Uh-huh.
You can't advertise yourself as a 501c3 unless you actually have that distinction.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Which takes some.
It
applying
takes
for
some
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Time and money. It's, I think last I checked, Zoom Legal, which is, just a company that does basic legal forms, they'll do it for 500 to 1,000, but it takes a lot of time to go through it. So you have to do it at a federal level, and then once you get that distinction, you also have to claim it with the state of Texas. But I will say one pretty large caveat is if you make income for the charity doing something that's outside of the charity's mission, right? So let's say you sell some sort of merchandise that doesn't fall within the confines of the business, then you are still taxed on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense.
So if she sells like shirts or like product that's like attached to the business, that's still taxed?
If it's attached to the business, no.
To the
If it's
501c3, yeah, okay.
if it's outside of how the business operates, then yes.
Right.
And
So if
that
it's like
that can get a little murky depending on the business.
yeah, so if that's like Maya's like personal like she does like a merch line or something, then that's the personal income. But if the actual 501c3 does a merch line, that's not tax. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Maya, it just comes down at the end of the day, I think, to separating as best you can. I mean, like, never use the same credit card to like make a business expense for the animals that it's going to be for, like, right? It's just sort of a conscious separation of that,
Right.
so that you in your mind need to sort of split up those two entities, and everything you do, like, you don't want like $1 to transfer over between the two or anything like that, or it gets like way too complicated. And this is no different really than anybody that's like trying to like separate business and personal expenses. This is something that's like pretty common for people that are I'd say like a high net worth. Like they need to consider like, okay, or people that have a lot of business expenses, I'll say, not even necessarily high net worth. There's people that run businesses, run LLCs, and need to run a lot of business expenses, need to think about their tax burden in the same way. And I think this is relevant, just as even more important for you, because you're actually trying to maintain, or you will be trying to maintain, a 501c3 status, which, like as Shelb said, you can lose if you are not conscious of this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not too intimidated by that task, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a good sign.
Yeah, it seems totally doable.
When you go to set up the second account after you file your articles of incorporation, so that's you officially starting a business, right? Not even nonprofit, but starting a business, you'll receive something called your EIN. I don't remember what that stands for, but similar to how you have a social security number, your EIN is like your SSN for your business. And you'll use that when setting up your business accounts.
Okay.
It's like it's basically a separate number you can put on everything, and you also use it to file taxes.
Okay.
Because that's another important thing. You'll have to file taxes twice, right? Because you'll be filing taxes as your 501c3, and you'll be filing. I guess you don't pay taxes 501c3, but you still have to file. Right?
It's a Form 990. It's essentially your.
Well, I just got that. Yeah.
Yeah, your budget, your accounting for the nonprofit. And if you miss filing that, you can also lose your nonprofit distinction.
Okay.
Cool. Shelbs, do you think there's anything important to cover that we haven't thought about? Any questions you have?
Make sure that you set up the business. Make sure you get the EIN. Keep all the assets separate. Make sure you get any sort of business licensing and permits that you need as well.
Okay.
But outside of that, I think it's a good start. I appreciate what you're trying to do. One of the things I want to do is own a dog ranch, so totally understand.
Aw, that's so cool.
Yay.
Thank you so much for your expertise and your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I understand this is like your job, so the fact that you wanted to come on and do this is like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have any other questions, Maya or Devin, feel free to reach out.
I will add
Thank
you on
you.
Discord.
Yeah. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. And thank you for being such a valuable member of the community for so long since we haven't actually talked directly. Just want to say that I appreciate you, and that's this in particular is really, really cool of you to do.
Sure thing. Have a happy new year, guys.
Hey, happy New
Okay,
Year.
you too. There it is. Okay.
Nice.
So
She's good
this
at
is
what
a
she does.
lot.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's been really awesome in the community for a long time, and just helps a lot with It's not even like most of the time she isn't even doing like CPA business stuff, but just happened to think of her because she's been in the community a long time, and I know she's brought it up, and yeah, she is very professional. Super
Yeah,
good.
she made it very easy to understand, concise. It's good.
Yeah, which is not something that most CPAs do. They tend to
Right.
like get into a lot of the so she's a really good communicator. She hangs out in Discord a lot, and like really just like a awesome person in the community.
Nice.
So I'm glad she could come on.
Cool.
So I want to be cautious that I think that's good for today. I like we can talk about other shit. I just think that like that's like a lot of business stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's more
Yeah.
than enough. Dude, my brain is
Yeah.
like mush right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no,
this is-
it's good.
yeah.
It was all really good info. Those were great connections. I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah,
This
the least
was,
I can
like,
do. And
mad productive.
I'm gonna send you. But what I'm gonna do is I've already like copied this over. I'm gonna put this together with our research notes and with the other things that we found through the team has found, and then we'll put that in all into like a one big business kind of like document on Google Docs, and I'll send you that this afternoon.
Amazing. Thank you. That's so helpful.
I love what you're doing.
I appreciate
Keep
it.
doing it. Yeah.
Dude. Good stream.
Yeah.
Are
yeah.
you gonna
Very
keep?
good.
Are you gonna stay live?
I am for a bit. Yeah, I've got to do podcast notes and like a couple other things, so I'll be on.
Podcast notes. Oh, for
Yeah,
train?
for train. Yeah. Mhm.
Nice.
Even though we never use them.
I was gonna say. I didn't realize you guys had those.
We do. It's just like I don't know. It's because like occasionally it's one of those things like when you do need them, you really need them.
For sure. Nah,
You know what I mean? Because like if like the whole conversation dies, and then it's like, well, what the fuck are we doing now? Like we gotta So I always do them every Thursday.
Yeah.
So I still gotta do that, and then I think there was something I was gonna yell at
You guys
Twitch
are
about. So
you guys are doing a podcast tonight?
I would think so.
New
Yeah.
Year's. You're gonna count down together?
We haven't. I think we talked about it last week, so I think we're on. But
Okay.
I'll see if he's. Why you want to come?
No. But thank you for asking. I was only asking because I was like, it's New Year's Eve, so I was imagining
It was
you guys.
quite literally the most committed no I've ever heard from you. That was great.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on the podcast.
Hard rejection. It is a certain vibe. Yeah. Like yeah, just see who we can find. Like I have like no life right now at all. All I
Aw.
do is it's sad. It's like all I do is like I'm on this like obsessive like workout thing.
I saw you
doing
talking
this,
about
like,
it a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
I'm like
good though.
I'm
At least it's productive.
It is. I'm like tracking every day of this like health journey, like all the macros, everything, and
jeez.
I using my Discord. And like to do it. And what ended up happening was a lot of people started doing it with me,
Aw.
and now I'm even more inspired to do it.
That's
which is,
great.
like so, the community sort of fed back on it and has made me even more inspired to do it. It's become an incredibly positive thing.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
feels good.
if you wait, so you find the guests too?
Half and half. So train recruits about half. I recruit about half.
Oh.
We just sort of it's incredibly ad hoc on the back end. Like it's very like sometimes we have like a really good plan, and it's like we know exactly what we're doing, and sometimes it's like 9:30 and we're like, oh, we
You don't
gotta
have any guests.
yeah, just start furiously DMing like thousands of people to figure out how
Right.
to
The
get
only
yeah.
times I've ever come on the podcast, I've gotten a DM on Twitter like 10 minutes before
This sounds
the
right.
start
Yeah.
time. If you want, I'll
That's the
come on
style.
another week if you need people.
You have no obligation whatsoever. We always can find people, but it's like if it's something that you would enjoy doing,
Okay.
you know, we'd love to have you.
All right, we'll talk about it.
You could bring an animal.
Yeah, I'll sit here with my
Yeah.
bird, talk
Talk
about
about it. No,
dicks.
serious. Yeah, whatever.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it's a different kind of energy for sure. I like it because it's those kind of things that like don't make me too serious. You know, I like if I go too far down the rabbit hole of like the CEO Andy, then I think I ostracize myself. So like I like that. I like having that vibe.
Yeah, I totally agree. That makes sense.
Yeah. It humanizes it.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. Thank you. I cannot thank you enough for this entire thing today. This was like so helpful.
It's truly my pleasure. Seriously. One of the things that the whole reason I started on Twitch was because I wanted but the whole reason we started an agency was because I wanted to help impact things. I feel like Twitch as a platform is a place where people can make a difference and like impact things, and I see like such beautiful things come from it, like the money that you've raised for charity and for your initiatives, and as well as a lot that goes on platform wide, like individual broadcasters, like Pestily, that are raising literally hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity. Like this is a beautiful platform that we can do this for live events on, and I think it's really important to pay attention to how certain influencers use it, and you're a person who's using it in a way that is incredibly honorable, and I just want to be a part of that in any way. If you ever need anything, I'm at your service.
Twitch is an
Truly.
untapped reservoir for doing good.
Yeah, it can be, and it should be, and it ought be. And it's people like you that make that possible.
I appreciate it. Thank you. That's why I'm teaming up with Make-A-Wish too. I got to meet them because Matt did a fundraising stream for them, and then I helped them with an event, and so now I'm gonna act as like a liaison between Twitch and Make-A-Wish, and hopefully pair up some streamers with some kids and wishes and whatever.
That is really cool. I had no idea that you were actually involved in that.
Pretty neat, huh? I'm still in the process, but they do a very, very thorough background check for the governing board. So, but yeah, that'll be a part of my 2021.
Well done. I'm so proud of you. God, like, man, I was like, yeah, like the age thing was more because I just can't believe that somebody at your age has accomplished what you have. Just keep going. It's so cool.
Yeehaw. Thank you. I don't know what to say to that.
Yeah, yeehaw was fine. Good job. Okay. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, keep it up, and if there's any way I can help you, let me know.
Okay, I will let you know. Thank you so much for taking notes and for sending that to me. I will use it, and I will keep you posted.
I'll send it to you later this afternoon.
I have added your glorious connections on Discord, and
cool.
Yeah, we're rolling. I'm super excited.
Good shit. Keep it up.
All right. Thanks, Devin. Have a good stream.
Talk soon.
All right, later.
Bye-bye.
Yeehaw. Dude, my brain. Anyone else? Dead? Anyone else brain just dead? I love that stream. Fat King, for the type of viewer that you are, I'm surprised, but I'm glad. Need more coffee. I haven't had any coffee today. My brain was dead 2 hours ago. Honestly, after we talked to Ethan, I was kind of like, oh my god, now we're gonna talk numbers and taxes that I don't know about. Like, I'm gonna die. But it was good. That was a lot of really, really good information. Mocha, thank you for the sub. This is gonna be a lot, but worth. I think it'll be really cool. I am super committed to making this work, and I think it's just a brilliant opportunity. I think it's gonna be really cool, and I know that I can get lots of people behind it. Crowd, thank you for the sub. It's gonna be frustrating. Oh my god, yeah, I know. There's gonna be a lot of stuff that I don't understand how to do, or that I get confused about, or delayed with, or whatever. Permits, blah. There's a lot, but I have a lot of people for a lot of things. I know a lot of people that know a lot of things. So, people, thank you for the 5 months. Thank you for the subs while I was talking to them. I'm sorry I didn't read them out. And I have time. Yeah, this is why I'm writing a 3-year plan. And even if 3 years doesn't end up being long enough, I've been dating Matt for 1.5 years. I'm patient as fuck. So That's not going to be an issue. All right. Tonight, you can always extend. Yeah, for sure. Oh my god. I'm replaying it because my alerts were muted.
People Pug, wow.
Call me Nelson with $100.
People Pug, wow.
I replayed the wrong alert. Wait. Here it is.
Dude, you got money.
Call me Nelson with
Hey
$100.
Maya, here's some money for the vets over at the rehab center. Also Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't even realize that the gift was... I didn't realize what the gift was. Alright. Not pets, it's fine. It's fine.
People Pug, wow.
Chim, thank you for the sub. I would stay live, but dude, I mean, my brain is just fucking fried. I gotta go just like sit and scroll through Twitter or some dumb shit. I just have to stop thinking for about an hour. But I am really, really excited by that stream. I know that it was kind of dense, so I'm sorry if it was like boring or kind of hard to listen to, but again, I really just want to include you guys on as much of the process of this as possible, because it's honestly, it's as much yours as it is mine. It would not be a thing if it weren't for you guys and if it weren't for Twitch. So if anyone wants to be included on the process, I want to make that accessible. So freaking educational. True. Yeah, I learned a lot. And my God, those connections are so great. A CPA and Ethan, like, so specific and so relevant to what we're talking about. Like, how random is that? Like, what a small world. But that was awesome. And he seems genuinely willing to help, which is wonderful. So, yeah. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna host the Botez Sisters. I will be live, or no, I won't be live. I'll be at S-Fans tonight. I don't know if he's calling it a party. I don't want to call it a party for obvious reasons, but it's just, I mean, I think it's gonna be like 10 people. I don't know. Miz isn't going? Really?
Dude, this year sucks dick. Alright, chat.
Interesting. Okay, so I messaged, you missed the rant.
People Pug, wow.
What hate thread? Is it the one from Jake? Dude. Okay, I actually messaged S-Fan about this morning. I was like, I sent him that thread. I sent him that thread and I was like, I don't like the looks of this. I really don't. So I know exactly what you're talking about. We'll see what happens tonight. I don't know. I'll talk to Miz. But as of now, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna raid the Botez Sisters. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for being a part of this. I'm so fucking excited. I know I seem kind of tired, but I am so excited about this. It's fucking sick. This is sick. Oh my God, Devin's still alive. Devin Nash. Connor, I am going to call you at some point, probably after the new year, to talk to you about this because I value your opinion. And I'm probably going to ask you to be on my board. So get ready for a call from me, and then I'm going to rant about animals, probably. I will see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m. CT for the Conservation Cast. Conservation Cast is with Dr. Derek Hennon. He studies millipedes, so that's what the podcast is on tomorrow. It'll be really cool. We're raising money for the Nature Conservancy, which we raised money for before. So that'll be really great. See you tomorrow. I'm free flying Ori the following day. Holy shit. Alright. I'm free flying Ori on Saturday. Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Or maybe tonight. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Thank you. Thank you for the bits and donos and everything. Appreciate it. Bye.